A grizzled knight stood before three approaching women, mistaking their interest for an apprenticeship. Pride swelled in his chest at the thought of mentoring such striking fighters. He flexed his weapon and sneered, warning the little girls to learn his name and know their place before testing him. A single strike sent him crashing through the mountainside. Witnesses gasped, unable to believe the continent's greatest bearded knight had been felled by one woman's blow. The two responsible barely remembered his name: Ryudamira Hailstorm, a high elf arch-wizard, and Leone Burnedge, a draconian warlord, dismissed him without ceremony. Their companion Terumea Clayblood, a vampire noble and dark priest, sighed that luck simply wasn't with them when it came to men. Each woman carried devastating power, shattering mountains, scattering armies, or ending lives through corrupted healing magic. Locals whispered that they resembled goddesses of ruin. Despite their strength and beauty, something eluded them completely, leaving onlookers baffled by their apparent misfortune. Chaos erupted again as another candidate met a violent end, proving even legendary races couldn't meet their standards. The problem, plainly stated, was men. Anyone who asked too many questions or lacked tact was disqualified instantly. Months earlier, companions had mocked Leone, insisting her only real assets were her looks, since her skills barely registered. Ryudomira craved protection, yet her overwhelming power made real danger impossible. Both refused to settle for anything less than a stronger partner. Neither wanted to be outmatched, nor were they willing to compromise, though a suitable match seemed non-existent. Lightning cracked as inspiration struck. If no worthy man existed, they would simply raise one themselves. Training a novice avoided the risks of the unknown and promised future rewards once he proved capable. From that moment, hunting for an apprentice quietly transformed into hunting for a husband. Months of searching left them lounging at a cafe, debating whether the Ulka Empire held better prospects. Veterans lacked room to grow, and the strongest fighters were often criminals, making genuine candidates scarce. Talk turned to rumors of a descendant of the legendary Brave One enrolling somewhere unexpected. The academy in Basculvia doubled as a marriage market for heroes seeking powerful bloodlines. Their decision was instant: head straight for that school, where the strongest were bound to gather. Deciding it was worth a shot, Leone launched herself forward with explosive force, Terumea and Ryudomira close behind as they crashed toward their destination. Their target was Basculvia, the fortress city considered a mecca for adventurers and home to the world's premier academy, guarded closely by its powerful Adventurers Guild. Festival banners fluttered above crowded streets as the trio descended into the bustling city, drawing curious glances from vendors and passers-by alike. Excitement buzzed through the marketplace, where merchants hawked snacks and adventurers rushed toward the Circle Arena for the yearly class-deciding ceremony. At the Royal Adventurers School of Almeria, Principal Sariella Cookjaw felt dread wash over her the moment she sensed three unmistakable presences approaching. Her assistant confirmed the intimidating aura belonged to genuine S-class adventurers, leaving no room to hope it was mere impersonation. Word arrived that the trio had already made themselves comfortable in her office, casually devouring tea cakes while threatening consequences for any delay. Sariella requested 30 minutes to prepare tranquilizers and restoration magic, prompting sharp criticism about her reluctance to face them directly. Meanwhile, a young man wandered the halls, unaware his expulsion papers had already been finalized, urged instead to seek a different path in life. Heart-pounding, Sariella approached her office door, silently praying the unwelcome guests had already left. Inside, Ryudomira sipped tea calmly while Terumea admitted to eating every snack out of impatience, confirming they hadn't gone anywhere. Leone rose sharply, questioning why their host had kept them waiting despite everything they'd previously done for the school. Sariella snapped back, acknowledging their achievements as adventurers while pointing out the chaos they consistently left behind for the guild to clean up. Cutting through the tension, Leone demanded they simply fetch the Brave One's descendant without further delay. Confusion followed as Sariella learned they intended to train him personally, prompting her to question their true motives. She accused them of selfishness and hidden agendas, insisting their personalities alone made the arrangement dangerous regardless of good intentions. Ryudomira flatly refused to let anyone meet him, deepening suspicion until Terumea declared this development nothing short of catastrophic. Threats escalated as the women suggested seizing Sariella's belongings or holding her hostage to guarantee silence. A thunderous explosion suddenly rocked the city skyline, visible through the office window and interrupting their standoff entirely. Startled, everyone turned toward the rumbling chaos outside, realizing something unexpected had just shattered their conversation. Buildings trembled as towers collapsed across the city skyline, prompting an alarmed adventurer to shout a warning while debris rained down around panicked bystanders. Massive tentacles rose from the destruction, sweeping across the landscape and leveling everything within reach of the towering creature. The monstrous form continued surging upward, its slick body glistening as it tore through streets and crushed structures beneath its weight. A deafening roar shook the surroundings as the beast inhaled deeply, gathering itself for something far worse than mere destruction. Sariella recognized the threat immediately, identifying it as a poison slime hydra rated danger level 8, though its unnatural size defied every expectation. Its scale alone demanded military intervention, suggesting the true danger level exceeded anything previously recorded. Leonie's expression hardened at the realization that potential husbands could perish in the chaos. Without hesitation, she launched herself toward the rampaging creature, smashing through obstacles as Teramea followed close behind. Coughing through the dust, Sariella questioned whether those reckless women truly qualified as suitable husband candidates for anyone. Ryudomira unleashed ultimate-level ice magic, her spell screeching across the battlefield while fleeing civilians scrambled desperately from the Hydra's path. Diving through falling snowflakes, she delivered a devastating technique she called Absolute Zero, aiming to freeze the creature entirely. Leonie followed with a thunderous strike of her own, roaring as her fist collided against the Hydra's regenerating flesh. Lightning crackled through the impact zone, illuminating the struggle as their combined assault tore into the monster's body. Confusion spread through nearby onlookers, who scrambled for safety amid the shock waves rattling every building in sight. Ryudomira admitted her ice magic could only freeze the surface, warning that increasing power further risked harming innocent bystanders caught nearby. Teramea cautioned Leonie about the Hydra's lethal poison, capable of killing lesser fighters instantly, urging her not to grow careless mid-battle. Accepting the necessity of a specific tactic, Teramea moved into position, though she doubted her damage output could match the creature's rapid regeneration. Landing safely within the Hydra's own body, she grinned at successfully infiltrating the beast from within. Recognizing this as the most effective approach against such creatures, she activated her ability, unleashing corrosive bubbles throughout its insides. The Hydra shrieked and wobbled violently as the assault took hold, prompting the trio to press their advantage further. Despite the danger level of 9, observers noted that even one of these three could likely handle such a threat alone, though collateral damage remained a genuine concern. Sariella ordered every teacher and staff member mobilized against the monster, recognizing her real priority was minimizing damage while letting the 3S classes handle the fight directly. A colleague interrupted with worse news entirely: a full monster outbreak, over 4,000 creatures with unknown risk levels surging from the abyssal forest north of Basculvia. Thunder cracked across the horizon as the horde advanced, a chaotic mass of roaring beasts trampling forward in overwhelming numbers. Panic spread through the school as Sariella struggled to process the impossible timing, ordering every adventurer above B-class north while evacuating civilians below C-class. Back at the Hydra, Ryudomira unleashed her level 4 skill, Elemental Wall, deflecting the beast's attack while Leonie noted sharply that fighting with every element felt unfair. Chaos erupted overhead as the Hydra shrieked and thrashed, sending Teramea tumbling through the air amid the destruction. Trapped briefly within its body, she pounded relentlessly from inside before smirking and blasting herself free. The resulting explosion tore through nearby structures, sending shockwaves rippling across the city streets below. Studying the creature, Teramea complained that its core sat in an oddly inconvenient spot, far from anywhere easy to strike. Leone realized they needed to coordinate perfectly, since striking the frozen poison body carelessly would spread toxin everywhere. Ryudomira called out to soldiers below, asking if their swords could reach the core while the trio held the creature down. Panic set in as the Hydra's skill revealed an unexpectedly massive area of effect, one capable of decreasing every stat among those caught inside it. The beast let out an unnervingly powerful howl, leaving Leonie startled that a poison slime Hydra could produce such intensity. Amid the chaos, an unfamiliar figure leapt across the rooftops, declaring confidently that she understood the situation and intended to finish it herself. Towers crumbled as she closed in, prompting startled onlookers to wonder whether this stranger was truly Sariella's promised reinforcement. She unleashed a devastating technique, Trash Disposal, limitless, cutting through the threat with practiced precision. Tentacles coiled tightly around her form as she cried out in pain, prompting a horrified onlooker to shout for the brave one. Confusion spread among the 3 classes as the title registered, their expressions shifting toward disbelief. Suspended within the creature's grip, the fighter's identity became undeniable, stunning everyone present that the legendary Brave One was a woman. Realization dawned that Sariella's reinforcement carried royal emblazoned equipment of the highest caliber, leaving the group questioning whether this revelation was some elaborate joke. Ryudomira's strength began fading fast, her ice magic straining under the Hydra's relentless assault. Deciding nothing good could come from further hesitation, she resolved to act immediately despite the risk. Exhausted and gasping, a lone boy pressed forward through the chaos, determined to break through the danger zone even if it meant making sacrifices. Leone noticed him charging bravely toward the Hydra, admitting grudgingly that at least someone among the crowd possessed real courage. Scanning him with her ability, Ryudomira froze in disbelief at his status: human, 14 years old, level 0, with no skills whatsoever recorded. Every single stat read 0. leaving her stunned that someone this fundamentally weak would dare rush into such overwhelming danger. In a chamber lined with ancient runes, a boy named Cross stands revealed as the weakest human ever recorded. His attack, defense, and magic power all read 0, leaving onlookers stunned that someone so unremarkable could exist. Word spreads to 3 formidable women watching from above. One notices his stats and gasps, certain he won't survive his first fight. Their leader spots a fragile core within a poisoned slime and barks an order for the others to shield him at all costs. Cross soon faces something far worse than a slime. A massive hydra looms ahead, its tentacles thrashing across a frozen battlefield, and he realizes this fight may be their only chance to end it without losing anyone. He lunges forward, blade drawn, colliding with a serpentine limb. The impact sends him crashing through the air before he slams hard onto the stone ground. Elemental forces erupt around him as fire scorches one side of the creature while ice shatters the other, catching him off guard mid-battle. Elsewhere, 2 mysterious women exchange a knowing smirk, fingers crossed as though weaving something unseen into the fight. The Hydra shrieks in pain, exhausted and dripping with frost. Cross pants heavily, barely standing, while the beast grumbles low, still refusing to fall. Jagged ice shards rain down around him as the storm intensifies, forcing him to brace against the onslaught. One of the women watching feels her own body straining under the Hydra's relentless assault, yet insists she must reach him no matter the cost. Cross collapses to his knees, breath ragged, staring at the twisting limbs still looming above him. Then he spots it, a glowing orb pulsing within the beast. Recognizing his opening, he pushes forward, only to be struck hard as it cracks beneath the pressure. A tentacle catches him mid-air, but he shrugs off the pain, insisting it's nothing serious. Gathering every ounce of strength, he drives his blade forward with a piercing strike. The Hydra begins crumbling apart as another warrior slides into the fray, ice fracturing across its dissolving form. 3 women descend rapidly, closing the distance to reach the battlefield below. A colossal pillar of rubble shatters skyward, shaking the entire city beneath it. The group lands amid the wreckage, finding an ally already collapsed on the ground. One woman shouts for healing help as another crashes down beside the fallen fighter. Cross lies wounded, but the frozen slime kept the poison from spreading through his body. Worried voices ask if he's all right, and one healer assures them she can mend any wound as long as he's still breathing. Standing amid the wreckage, one of the women crosses her arms and lets out a heavy breath, watching a lone figure approach from across the ruined ground. The group notices someone has been guarding him closely. Relief spreads across their faces as they realize they arrived in time, and Cross manages a tired smile despite his exhaustion. Kneeling beside him, one woman apologizes, blaming herself for letting her guard down and allowing this to happen in the first place. The others gather close, stunned that a level 0 boy risked everything just to protect the brave one during such a dangerous fight. Reflecting on his recklessness, one woman admits she might be losing her mind too, considering they now want someone this crazy as their apprentice. Memories flash between the ruined town and Cross resting peacefully, his exhaustion finally giving way to calm. Word spreads quickly across the settlement that he has finally been located, drawing the women toward him without hesitation. Beyond the chaos, a vast city stretches across the horizon, quiet under a fading sky, hinting at the scale of what they've all endured. Elsewhere, healers struggle over a patient whose legs cannot be saved, forced to consider recreating them entirely, unsettled that someone with no skills survived this severely wounded. Cross jolts awake suddenly, disoriented and breathing hard, unsure of where he has ended up. Sitting up in an unfamiliar bed, he questions his surroundings until a voice informs him he has finally woken. Leone Burnedge introduces herself as a Draconian and an S-class adventurer, explaining she had grown worried after seeing no signs of him stirring. Stunned by her status plate, Cross realizes she belongs to one of the 3 strongest races in the world, and is among only 9 S-class adventurers alive. She tells him to calm down, promising to explain everything from the beginning as he stumbles over his own disbelief at being in her presence. They reveal they brought him to a house they purchased as their base in Basculvia, where injuries from the incident filled the local church with patients. They clarify that civilian injuries were nearly non-existent, since adventurers handled the feral monster wave and the Hydra's damage stayed contained to the redevelopment zone. A full day has passed, and life has returned to normal, with the women crediting his desperate charge for preventing greater casualties. Leone ruffles his hair, insisting that without him and the others, she wouldn't have survived, though he brushes it off as pure desperation. Despite his stats reading 0 across the board, she tells him he performed remarkably well that day. Overwhelmed by her sincerity, he admits it's still embarrassing no matter how many times she says it, and she teases that his kindness might actually bring her to tears. Leaning close, one woman asks Cross to become her apprentice, reminding him bluntly that since he got expelled, he has nothing else to do anyway. Startled by the offer, he stammers about his incompetence and zero stats, wondering how someone like him could possibly train under an S-class adventurer. Convinced this can't be real, he pinches himself hard, half believing he actually died fighting the Hydra and woke up in the afterlife instead. Two more women burst through the door, accusing the first of trying to claim him before informing the others, and she admits sheepishly that she got caught. Each woman introduces herself in turn, listing her race and rank, all insisting she would make the most fitting master for him. Tempers flare as they shove and bicker over who gets him, each declaring him rightfully hers while the others scramble against the pushing. The argument escalates into a full magical clash, flames and energy crackling between them as they threaten to reduce each other to ashes. Their fight shakes the entire city, mistaken by panicked citizens below for an earthquake worse than the Hydra attack itself. Desperate to stop the destruction, Cross blurts out an idea, asking if all three of them could simply train him together instead of fighting over it. The women pause, considering that training him jointly might actually be easier, and reasoning that whichever method proves best would make him stronger regardless. They agree it's the fairest approach, formally declaring that from this day forward, he belongs to all three of them as their shared apprentice. Overwhelmed, Cross can barely process that he's about to become a student to three S-class adventurers at once. He introduces himself properly, stating his name, his age, and admitting he technically has no class of his own. The women acknowledge he'll need serious strength to keep up with all three of them, while Cross quietly worries he might not have any skills worth their effort, vowing privately to do his best regardless.
Cross thinks on his journey, recalling how he was dismissed from adventurer school before meeting masters. Eager, Cross sets off for his training, unmindful of the ferocious competition between the masters. Cross is in awe of the large mansion, yet his anxiety over the circumstances increases. Cross discovers his masters persuaded others to purchase the mansion, astonished by their economic strength. After some light-hearted teasing, Telemea and Lidmila debate over who will train Cross first. Lidmila quips about employing a hidden draconian approach to increase Cross's development if required. Telemea proposes employing a strong dark relic, the Dark Chalice, to speed up Cross's development. The trio eventually decides on beginning Cross's training, with Cross uncertain if they're sincere or joking. Cross, now in training, labors with Lidmila's rapid rate, resulting in fierce sword practice. Lidmila spots Cross's swordplay problems, recognizing he had been harassed in the past for frailty. Lidmila realizes Cross's reluctance comes from past distress, his spirit damaged by relentless spoken bullying. Lidmila points out Cross's fear of counterattacks, a pattern that has hindered his swordplay. Cross remembers being ridiculed by peers, feeling frail at 14, unable to even beat a girl. A formal document shows Cross's status as jobless, labeling him as the least capable among adventurers. Cross, now in the ring, confronts a huge audience who wonders at his absence of development. Cross begs not to be dismissed as the dean encourages him to weigh other career alternatives. Cross, deep in thought, remembers how Ms. Dean dissuaded him from becoming an adventurer. Lidmila confesses Cross's gradual development, yet assures him that he has a firm base to develop on. Lidmila throws Cross a sword, stressing that to prevail, he must embrace combat, not fear it. Cross starts to embrace the notion of enjoying fights, recognizing it might assist him grow harder. Lidmila dares Cross to hit her with full might, urging him to take his training earnestly. Cross pauses, concerned about injuring her, yet Lidmila encourages him to face his fear. As Cross trains, Lidmila jokingly criticizes his gentleness, yet his attempts are gradually advancing. Telemea cheerfully requests Cross to take a shot at her, yet is sidetracked by other arrangements. Abruptly, Lidmila's earth magic, Edgestone, bursts fiercely, stunning everyone with her enormous strength. Cross, in alarm, slashes his sword at Lidmila, afraid of creating harm, yet she stays calm. Cross, shocked by the wild wreckage of his swing, dreads about his absence of order. Lidmila, boldly grinning, assures Cross that she won't be hurt, and encourages him to keep attacking. Cross, overcome, is appalled by Telemea's light-hearted aura, recognizing he has no order over his moves. Lidmila chuckles, showing Cross that his reluctance comes from concern, yet assures him once prepared, he'll prevail. Cross obeys Lidmila's direction, hitting her with full might, now attentive on his killer intent. Cross yells in annoyance, responding to Rion's mocking, yet increases more assured in his hit. Lidmila observes Cross's development, urging him to keep going, stressing that the attack should be unceasing. Lidmila and Telemea consider the value of training without being too severe, securing healthy recovery. After an exhausting day of training, Cross enjoys a calm bath, thankful for the luxuries provided. Cross gazes in surprise at the banquet laid before him, Lidmila demanding he eat well for training. Telemea encourages Cross to eat more, suggesting that food will improve his strength despite his small plate. Cross, overcome by the food, eats the food with eagerness, pleased by its taste. Lidmila readies to start her session with Cross, securing he's recovered after his huge food. Cross is surprised as Lidmila tells him to strip and lie face down, uncertain of her plans. Cross is puzzled and surprised, not understanding why Ludmila insists on this strange training approach. Ludmila, assured in her approach, assures Cross, although he stays flustered by the circumstances. As Ludmila spreads lotion, she describes how the massage helps restore energy and improves magic. Cross feels the unknown feeling of magic flowing through him as Ludmila describes the approach. Ludmila, teasingly, notes the value of bodily touch to spark affection, leaving Cross flustered. Cross, shocked by Ludmila's demand, heads to bed, trying to concentrate on tomorrow's task. Cross sleeps in his luxurious room, alone, unmindful of what waits for him the next day. Cross wakes up puzzled, wondering if Ludmila's guidance to rest early has anything to do with it. Cross is surprised by a surprising arrival from Telemea, who repays his hard work with warmth. Telemea describes the need of her moves, stating that this touch is essential to his development. Cross, exhausted, wonders if Ludmila's methods are actually enhancing his magic, even while he's calm. Ludmila describes her plans to Telemea, who responds with rage, difficult her strange moves and methods. Ryan's quick hit breaks the circumstances, starting a dispute over healthy bonds and their boundaries. Cross lies puzzled and overcome, questioning whether his easygoing training is the right route to follow. The circumstances intensifies as Cross confronts unforeseen dares, while new characters introduce harder parts of training. Rana and Ludmila consider the value of custom training methods, dismissing usual misconceptions about severe instruction. Cross, now attentive, is encouraged to take his time and develop his strength gradually yet steadily. After 3 days of ferocious training, Cross starts to feel the routine and development of his work. Cross confronts Ludmila in a training match, urging his abilities to the limit in combat. Cross feels quicker and more nimble, recognizing the gains in his body from the demanding training. Cross starts to realize the feeling of employing magic while gripping his sword, beginning to grasp. In their match, Cross tries to use magic while moving his sword, showing development. Ludmila requests Cross to show his status plate, as they continue to monitor his development. Cross looks at his status plate, showing his novice statistics, still showing room for development. Cross finds he has earned a skill, and the team is eager about his development. Ludmila praises Cross for properly mastering his first skill, Clear Cut, a magic-boosted sword approach. Rion and Telemea consider the unique abilities Cross holds due to his jobless class balancing abilities. The team thinks on Cross's development, observing that even with balancing abilities, his development is difficult. Cross is delighted, noticing the major gains in his strength, speed and skill from training. Ludmila confesses Cross's swift development and notes his success of earning 4 abilities in a brief time. Ludmila fondly taps Cross on the head, praising his development while Cross uneasily receives the commend. Cross stays silent, overcome by the commend and strain, uncertain of how to reply. Ludmila describes Cross's balancing abilities will improve with battle practice, stressing the value of real combat. Cross pauses, feeling unprepared for a real battle, particularly against something as strong as a horned rabbit. Ryan assures Cross, urging him to gain assurance through real fights. He's still at level 1. Ludmila comes back, reporting the finding of a strong beast close to the abyssal sea of trees. Cross is appalled as he identifies the snake-eyed beast, a danger one beast he dreads facing. Overcome, confronts the beast as Ludmila assures him that he should be able to manage it. Cross confronts frightening multi-eyed snake beast, uncertain if he can defeat it as his teacher observes. Cross feels his awareness slipping, overcome by the creature's eyes and overwhelming might. He's puzzled. The snake loops around him, crushing tightly. Cross screams in agony, struggling to break free from its grip. Afraid, Cross requests for assist. His teacher cautions about the snake's eyes, a lethal weapon. Cross realizes the snake's eyes order it. Summoning all his strength, he readies for a retaliation. Cross labors against the snake's speed, recognizing its attacks are quicker than his capacity to respond. Resolved, Cross confesses his current abilities are insufficient yet pledges to discover a way to battle back. He readies to retaliation, focusing on the snake's motions and placement himself for a final hit. Cross focuses, performing well-timed maneuver while the snake's lethal eyes circle around him, preparing for action. With a strong cut, Cross slices through the snake's loops, breaking free with a triumphant shout. The snake's head is cut off neatly, its body ripped apart by Cross's strong final hit. Cross's victory is praised. His mentors applaud him on, astonished by his development. Cross questions whether he really achieved it. His teacher describes how he'd beaten a difficult foe. Cross thinks on his development, seeing his recently acquired abilities on his status plate with satisfaction. After the battle, Cross enjoys a victory scene, although his teacher quips with him about his delight. Cross is given recovery wine by his teacher, stating it will enhance his arcane abilities. Cross rehearses his clear-cut approach, mastering to concentrate on the link between magic and motion. The team discusses Cross's development, observing his higher self-assurance since defeating the snake beast in battle. They mention Giselle, an remarkable orphan with amazing gifts, and the ruinous warrior apprentice class. Cross's promise is acknowledged, with expectations for his prospects as an A-rank adventurer, despite past bullying. Cross is encouraged to push his boundaries without worrying about running out of magic. He is prepared. Cross and his teacher participate in a practice match, his approach advancing as they train together. Cross is shown becoming an assurance, with his mentors observing his development, seeing his promise. Cross reviews his status plate, astonished at his development, observing his new abilities and ranks. Cross and his mentors consider brief-term targets, arranging the next steps in his training. Cross pauses yet eventually decides to face a beast or someone he can test in battle. The team discusses a readmission exam. Cross's goal of studying at an adventurer's school comes back. Cross remembers his villages hit by monsters 4 years ago, showing his painful past. The account moves to Alicia, the champion who arrived like the wind to rescue Cross's hometown. Cross confesses to respecting Alicia, which is why he joined an adventurer's school to defend others. Cross rejects the notion of facing the Hydra, feeling undeserving and hesitant, uncertain about his abilities. The team discusses a readmission exam Cross will have to take if he wishes to progress. Cross thinks on his past, recalling the frightening beast hit on his hometown 4 years ago. Cross remembers champion Alicia, who saved his hometown from monsters, forming his goal to defend others. Cross confesses his admiration for Alicia, showing his reason for meeting the adventurer's school to defend others. Ryan smiles cheerfully, pledging Cross a secret weapon to assist with his readmission exam. 20 days go by, and the pressure increases as Cross readies for his readmission exam, feeling anxious. Team assures Cross, assured in his development, and advises him to act boldly for the exam. Ryan and the others remind Cross about the test forward as he confronts the readmission exam. At the exam hall, Cross takes a deep breath, encouraged by the abilities he's mastered. Cross steps into the ring for his readmission exam, met by an audience of onlookers. Some pupils consider Cross's aura, mocking him after his previous expulsion and calling him as jobless. Cross is shocked by the exam's unforeseen severity, recognizing it's not as easy as he thought. Cross is shocked to see his foe Giselle, standing boldly, her overwhelming aura difficult him. Giselle responds with quick enrage, difficult Cross's nerve to select her as his foe. Cross is shocked to see Ryan as his foe. She grins, preparing to thoroughly defeat him. Cross is shamed by a master, told he can never become an adventurer. She ridicules him. Annoyed, Cross dares them. He insists on taking an exam in the form of a match. Starts in ring, with Cross facing ferocious competition. The pressure builds as they prepared. The woman master releases a ferocious sword hit, trying to overpower Cross with her skill. Cross triggers a body-hardening skill to endure, recognizing he has new abilities to battle back. The master's sword hit creates a strong blast, sending rubble soaring, intensifying the battle. Cross, still alive, is asked about his astonishing strength. The scene moves to concern. Cross is hurt, moaning from agony. The master gazes at him, uncertain of his toughness. The audience stares at the unforeseen turn. Cross's protection abilities leave everyone confused and astonished. The master raises her hit severity, employing a strong sword skill. Cross steadies himself. The woman master's hit is stopped, her sword clashing with the air as Cross evades. Cross realizes his fear has disappeared. He's astonished by his own newfound calm and determination. The master thinks on her previous hit, recognizing it didn't cause the harm she expected. Another master joins the scene, meeting the battle with an assured smile, prepared for action. Cross feels the rush of strength again, employing bodily increase, he readies for the next hit. Cross adjusts under strain, changing speed on order as his master instructs mid-battle tactic shift. Grinning with understanding, Cross responds with accuracy. His new approach breaks her routine completely. Giselle fires a destructive rush, trying to end the match, yet Cross barely evades the hit. Cross responds with ideal moment, unleashing an unforeseen attacking skill that slices through her hit array. Onlookers gasp in amazement. Giselle is forced back. Cross controls employing erratic zero-point motion pattern. Giselle fires a wide kick, yet Cross evades smoothly, disrupting her routine and retaliation concentrate. Panting hard, Cross realizes his hit's absence collision. Giselle's protection stays too strong to pierce neatly. His teacher remembers X-skill and higher-level approach formed by combining several abilities into a more strong hit. Cross triggers the skill. His sword shines. A quick, accurate hit takes Giselle completely off guard. Furious by the hit, Giselle abilities up with minor increase, prepared to end it fiercely. Cross's hit sends Giselle soaring across the ring, stunning the audience with quick turnaround momentum. Giselle responds with a brutal downward cut. Cross remembers his mentor's guidance about facing danger boldly. Pressure builds as Cross rushes forward, disregarding the lethal intent, accepting danger to shift the battle. Remembered recollections of Hydra fights strengthen his determination. This new skill perfectly suits his bold spirit. Cross triggers emergency evasion and clear cut together, evading at top speed while releasing a final hit. Cross performs cross counter, hitting neatly with boosted accuracy. Giselle is thrown backward mid-attacking jump. Giselle slams to the ground. The audience observes, shocked. Cross stands triumphant, sword still raised. The collision sends waves across the ring, proving Cross's final win in striking manner. Giselle lies beaten in the ring dirt. One teacher smiles favorably at the spectacular outcome. The referee announces Cross has cleared the readmission exam. Applause break out. Cross stands silent, overcome. Paper bits falls as Cross stands shocked, recognizing he really prevailed after a brutal battle. Cross rejoices in amazement. Elsewhere, Gazelle sits beaten, filled by annoyance and amazement over her defeat. Cross freaks when Gazelle falls. The audience shouts for recovery. She murmurs complaints through clenched teeth. Voices resound beyond the ring. Cross's mentors commend his strength and the effort he survived. Cross happily appreciates his masters. They inspect his development, pleased of the boy they raised. Cross's status record shows 0 base statistics, yet his skill development has soared beyond predictions. The mentors quietly review the statistics. What they read breaks all logic of usual development. Both women gaze in amazement. Cross's swift skill development is abnormal, almost alarming in its rate. As Cross happily moves forward, his mentors share anxious looks over his unmatched development rate. With the school now in sight, Cross leaps for delight. His journey has only just started. Cross happily waved goodbye after a school day, unmindful 3 strong mentors were watching closely. Returning home, Cross met his teacher Ledmilla, who remained silent, puzzled by his assured energy. Ledmilla reported Cross's easygoing outing. The others asked why he wasn't training under Ryan's guidance. They were shocked he cleared the academy exam. None believed someone like him could prevail. A copy of Cross's status plate was shown. They demanded analysis. His abilities required immediate verification. Cross's statistics shocked everyone. His swift development rate drew suspicion and curious comparisons to past pupils. Annoyance exploded. One teacher launched a furious magic hit, unleashing overwhelming flames across the entire field. Smoke and harm surrounded Ledmilla, who stood triumphant alone amid the scorched and boiling battlefield. Another teacher screamed in outrage, demanding to know why Ledmilla unleashed such destructive might on them. Badly burned and clothes shredded, the women complained, blaming Ledmilla for ruining everything, including today's schedule. Ledmilla accused them of employing forbidden treasures on Cross. Her suspicion intensified everyone's rising pressure. She furiously warned that employing such items early would irreversibly corrupt Cross's development and development. Despite the accusation, the 2 girls denied everything, annoyed at being blamed for Cross's strength. Ledmilla demanded an explanation. If no relic was used, how could such statistics be possible? Even they began to question the circumstances, recognizing Cross's development might not be natural after all. The mentors pressed for answers, demanding insight from the one who personally accepted Cross as apprentice. They analyzed his 2-week development. Even with ferocious training, his development exceeded all usual human predictions. Despite lacking a class, Cross's development outpaced logic. His strange speed became impossible to dismiss. Elsewhere, at Almeria Royal Adventure School,
New lessons about innate and awakened abilities were introduced. Professor explained rare cases individuals awakening unique abilities unnaturally after birth, hinting Cross might be such anomaly. During class, Cross mastered about rare awakenings, possibly triggered by magic or close to danger experiences. Cross attentive hard, hoping class knowledge would enhance his training under Rion's demanding direction. Abruptly the classroom's mood changed. Cross noticed ominous gazes and pressure from his nearby peers. Giselle's glare confirmed her rage hadn't faded. Cross trembled, recognizing her resentment still lingered deeply. Beyond, pupils were instructed to pair up for mock fights with others of similar class. Cross tried asking to pair up, yet was repeatedly rejected, leaving him dissuaded and alone. Haunted by Giselle's wrath, Cross realized peers avoided him, fearing her retaliation and bad mood. Cross uneasily approached Giselle to apologize. Her reaction was explosive, catching everyone's attention and concern. Peers panicked and warned him to retreat, afraid Giselle's rage would turn into disaster again. Abruptly, Cross spotted something frightening behind them. Everyone froze as danger quietly approached from behind. Ledmilla retrieved a high-grade magic tool capable of showing hidden attributes in great detail. Together, the mentors examined Cross's status again, this time employing the merchant-grade arcane detection lens. As they observed, something odd happened. Smoke and distortion clouded the bottom section of his data. Cross's statistics arrived usual, yet something was clearly being hidden behind that strange arcane interference. They asked if Cross possessed a concealment skill and capacity to mask true abilities from detection. The mentors realized higher-level appraisal magic had been used on Cross beyond usual concealment detection methods. They decided to keep the findings hidden from Cross, analyzing his condition privately for now. Concerned someone might uncover Cross's hidden, Taroma feared the school's adventurers could expose the truth. Cross was shocked to see Alicia Lafagalian, a descendant of heroes, abruptly appear at school. Seeing her instantly, Cross called out to Alicia, astonished and overcome by her unforeseen aura. Pupils were awestruck as Alicia Lafagalian, champion descendant, arrived boldly before the entire hallway. Alicia boldly approached Cross, disregarding everyone else, while Giselle and others watched with bewilderment. She leaned in closely, locking eyes with Cross, analyzing him with silent yet ferocious curiosity. Cross panicked from the quick confrontation. Alicia confirmed her suspicions he was the one she'd heard about. Pleased, Alicia confessed she concerned after hearing rumors about Cross passing the readmission exam properly. Cross froze as Alicia grabbed his hands, drawing curious gazes from pupils witnessing her tears. Alicia abruptly carried Cross and disappeared in a flash, stunning everyone who saw their break free. Elsewhere, Giselle reflected on Alicia's famed swordswoman prodigy and descendant of the legendary hero's bloodline. Inspired by Alicia's aura, some pupils dreamed of fame and marrying heroic bloodlines through adventuring. Alone beyond, Cross gratefully thanked Alicia, showing her past heroism had inspired his goal to improve. Alicia remembered Cross's bravery in saving her, while others insisted they'd manage him instead. She revealed she'd searched tirelessly for Cross, disappointed Ryo never followed up after the stampede. Alicia sincerely offered her assist, pledging to support him however she could in return. Cross tried to deflect commend, while others told him to keep his training background hidden. Under Alicia's expectant gaze, Cross panicked, uncertain what favor he could possibly demand from her. The boy shyly confesses to upsetting an orphanage girl and seeks guidance on apologizing. Thinking practically, he requests Alicia, a woman adventurer, for a notion from her perspective. Alicia proposes buying sweets, thinking a tasty snack could assist ease the girl's rage. Alicia excitedly offers to join him, demanding they go together and purchase treats immediately. Although flustered, he decides. Alicia promises to meet him after changing into casual clothes. The boy waits uneasily in the busy church square, anxious about Alicia's promised aura. Alicia abruptly arrives and surprises him. Her aura in disguise startles the surrounding onlookers. Wearing an arcane cloak, Alicia describes her secrecy and cautions him not to draw attention. She shows her arrival was hidden from guards, stressing the value of keeping things discreet. Alicia announces the day hidden between them, leaving the boy overcome and blushing internally. They reach the vendor's stalls, inspecting sweets together. Alicia observed quietly while he picked choices eagerly. They sat at a quaint cafe. Alicia reviewed the menu while sipping tea, expression calm. Alicia happily ate while he rushed around for tells. They seemed oddly comfortable in public together. She smiled radiantly at him. He blushed, astonished by her warmth and open expression toward him. On a bench they recovered,
She asked about shopping. He admitted his limited practice and money, and Alicia and the boy agree it was fun. He feels useful for once. She confesses this easygoing outing was her first real time spent beyond training missions. Although uncertain if fun counts as appreciates, she sincerely appreciated the boy's gentleness and effort. Curious, he requests Alicia to share stories about her fights and the world she's seen. She pauses, yet he insists, eager to hear anything from someone he deeply admires. Alicia began recounting a ferocious battle at Beckoning Valley, vividly describing monstrous creatures and danger. Cross listened in awe, wondering how Alicia faced such terror without fear or reluctance. Alicia admitted her fear honestly, showing that demanding training was her way of enduring it. She praised Cross's bravery against the Hydra, surprising him with sincere recognition of his courage. Flustered, Cross tried to downplay himself, crediting others for the strength he showed that day. Alicia softly thanked Cross for saving her, calling his act cool and unforgettable. Cross uneasily thanked her, deciding it was time to return, yet Alicia stopped him gently. She reminded him to reconcile with another student, leaving without saying her healthy appreciates. Cross stood among the audience, watching her go, feeling conflicted yet deeply moved by her words. Soon after, Cross returned to Almeria Royal Adventure School, his heart stirred with newfound purpose. Cross shares an account of battling monsters in Beckoning Valley, capturing the boy's awe. Alicia confesses her fear and describes she trains hard to face frightening foes boldly. She tells him hard work won't betray him, leaving him shocked by her determination. Despite being level 0, Cross once faced a Hydra to defend her from danger. Moved by her commend, Cross thinks on the gentleness others have shown him so far. A faculty member reports a dangerous decline in wildlife, hinting at a lurking strong demon threat. Elsewhere, Cross sets off determinedly, unmindful a sinister figure observes, arranging to exploit the danger. Cross's wooden sword shattered mid-swing during training, catching him off guard and losing balance. Panting, Cross insisted on paying for his own weapons. Ryan noticed his strange reason today. Ryan announced Cross would train with others now. He was shocked yet eager for magic lessons. Lyudmila began instruction wind magic, explaining mana's flow and stressing full-body immersion in elemental forces. Cross was abruptly stripped for training. Lyudmila claimed it helped internalize magic. Chaos erupted around them. Spinning through the air, Cross was shamed while Telemea joked about advancing training efficiency. 2 days cleared. Cross recited a chant, invoking wind magic as part of a new approach. With attentive will, Cross launched Wind Shot, impressing everyone with his first successful attacking magic hit. Lyudmila praised his effort, yet warned magic required time and shouldn't replace conventional combat entirely. Instructors reviewed Cross's status. Despite being jobless and level 0, his skill set arrived highly strange. The mentors analyzed Cross's swift skill development, observing higher-level abilities earned in an unusually brief time. Despite being level 0, Cross's strange status intrigued the teachers, who awaited new appraisal tools' arrival. Cross reviewed his skill list, astonished by the results and deeply thankful for his master's guidance. Cross proudly wielded a new sword, seeing his development yet concerned about his empty finances. At the Adventurers Guild, Cross sought quests, recognizing earning money was now his top priority. The guild board displayed changing trends: beast shortages, empire unrest, and rising meat prices stirred demand. Cross felt hopeless. Without a party, he couldn't even qualify for novice quests beyond town. Old friends approached casually. Their chat lifted Cross's spirits and reminded him of past gentleness. Thankful and astonished, Cross was invited to join their team, filling their missing 5th slot. Thankful for the opportunity, Cross realized even small kindnesses could lead to unforeseen new paths. The party entered the western forest, assigning roles. Cross was tasked with protecting the rear. Each member's role was clear. Cross uneasily agreed to escort and defend their water mage. Cross grew uneasy as they drifted from the trail, concerned about the unknown terrain forward. Despite Cross's reluctance, the leader insisted the route was safe and beast danger remained low. They stopped at a clearing, yet Cross sensed something was off. No monsters were present at all. Cross realized the quest was fake. The leader warned too late it was a setup. Giselle attacked with fury, calling out Cross by name. Shocked, he struggled to grasp her. Cross stood prepared, puzzled. His former teammates watched as chaos replaced their supposed beast hunt. Giselle revealed her hatred. She orchestrated everything to defeat Cross and prove her worth. Fueled by resentment, Giselle blamed Cross for humiliating her during the public exam, seeking revenge. Giselle commanded the team to hit. Cross was abruptly outnumbered by his supposed allies. Overcome, Cross was struck. Giselle raged about humiliation, defeat, and her battle to reclaim everything. Giselle remembered bitter gazes and judgment. The hatred she survived burned deep into her thoughts. Filled by desperation, Giselle fought fiercely. She refused to be beaten, fearing total emotional collapse. Cross asked their motives. Was his accidental harm to Giselle's reputation worth such betrayal and fury? The water mage invoked sacred magic. Giselle stopped, unleashing her own spell mid-chant with fury. A huge water blast surged forward. Cross braced himself as the spell filled the battlefield. Cross panicked at the incoming might. He couldn't believe the magic was aimed his way. The ground erupted. Cross faced overwhelming odds, barely evading with instinctive motion and desperation. Despite exhaustion, Cross remembered his mentor's faith. He refused to fall before reaching his true start. Cross began chanting wind magic, focusing his mana as the others prepared for incoming attacks. He invoked the spell fully, channeling wind spirit energy to hit down his charging enemies. Cross unleashed wind shot, knocking opponents back. Giselle was shocked he'd mastered real combat magic. The team is shocked by Cross's unforeseen arcane strength. They realize he has hidden abilities. Chaos ensues as the team freaks, unable to manage Cross's unforeseen strength and magic. Cross, earning assurance, releases a wind shot, creating a strong gust that takes them off guard. Cross is shocked as his magic halts mid-air. Bewilderment spreads as he tries to regain order. The woman master, irritated, shows her own magic. Difficult Cross as their abilities collide. The master hits with a strong wind hit, yet Cross barely evades, still under strain. Cross labors against the strong might and starts to lose order, his body tossed in the air. The woman master grins, showing her lovely magic, stating superiority over Cross's previous attempts. Cross realizes that Giselle's magic allows her to steal arcane initiative, making her a formidable foe. Cross, exhausted and beaten, hides behind a tree, yet Giselle taunts him for giving up. Cross, desperate, tells the air to form a bullet to hit his enemies, defying Giselle's warning. The wind shot fires, creating a huge might, yet the enemies seem calm, prepared for it. Cross creates a smoke screen to cover his break free, yet Giselle swiftly sees through his tactic. Giselle encourages the team to stay calm, seeing Cross's bodily capacity is still inferior to theirs. Despite his limitations, Cross is resolved, escaping deeper into the forest while the team splits up to chase. Eren is sent to search for Cross, as the team is at danger of failing their mission. Abruptly, Eren's team hears a loud crack, and they realize something is terribly wrong in the forest. The team is thrown into chaos as a huge collision shakes the area, creating rocks to scatter. The entire forest is left in disarray, and the team is shocked by the sheer harm. Giselle is appalled by the devastation, and frantically searches for any sign of her team's safety. Eren is ordered to search for Cross, or they could all face sincere consequences. A quick snap and crack unsettle the team as they realize something dangerous is happening. The might of the collision is enormous, knocking everyone back and creating harm across the forest. The team is left shocked, surrounded by the wreckage of a destructive hit in the forest. Giselle rushes to check on her team, concerned about the harm and wondering if everyone is safe. The team stumbles upon a frightening rock warlord warrior, recognizing it's creating the strange forest disturbances. Giselle tells the hurt to be carried into the woods, directing the team to flee for safety. The warriors make a run for it, yet Giselle dreads the beast might still catch them. As the beast roars, Giselle stands firm, prepared to face the beast, defying her fear. Giselle fights the beast, her fury building as the beast continues to wreak havoc in the forest. Giselle labors, exhausted and hurt, as she realizes no matter what, someone must be sacrificed. Despite her agony, Giselle finds a glimmer of hope, believing her moves will purchase Cross more time. Cross hears desperate cries and is puzzled by the strange sounds, sensing something isn't right. Cross remembers a scene from his past, recalling a memory of his sibling and their dreams. Giselle remembers a tender scene with her younger sibling, giving her the strength to continue combat. Tragic scene unfolds as younger sibling apologizes, unable to fulfill their goal of becoming an adventurer. Giselle confronts Rock Warlord Warrior, furious about her impending defeat and feeling the weight her past mistakes. Giselle thinks on the orphans under her care, fearing for their prospects if she fails now. Giselle, filled with rage, pledges to leave a scar on the creature's face before her danger. Giselle confronts the warrior head-on, yet the monstrous hit hits, creating her to brace for collision. Cross rushes to Giselle, concerned she's hurt, as the rock beast looms dangerously overhead. Giselle is shocked as she sees Cross arrive, recognizing he's come back to assist her. A giant beast arrived. Cross urged Giselle to break free, preparing himself to face the threat. Giselle yelled in amazement. Despite her betrayal, Cross still chose to defend and support her. Cross's previous wind shot didn't injure the beast. The enemy remained strong and completely unharmed. They identified it as a rock lizard warrior far beyond their level, rapid and unstoppable. Cross trembled yet stood his ground. Despite fear, he chose to battle rather than flee. Cross remembered his mentors and determination. He pushed forward, resolved to defend like a champion. He refused to abandon Giselle. Running would betray those who believed in his promise. The beast charged. Cross analyzed its routine mid-battle, seeking a frailty in its strong rush. Trying for its neck, Cross launched a desperate counterstrike, fully committing to stop the beast. Cross's hit connected. The might sent him soaring as the beast was thrown off course. Cross steadies his sword, recognizing the monster's hide is too difficult for direct hits. Giselle analyzes the monster's armor, observing Cross's absence of strength for head-on confrontation. Cross starts chanting a dark incantation while the beast rushes, catching Giselle by complete quick. With protection magic weakening the beast, Cross readies for a close-range hit with full determination. Cross slams his hit into the damaged spot, landing a final counter against the beast. The boy leaps high to hit again, yet the beast responds with a wide roar. Its huge claw smashes down, flinging the boy into the air with violent might. He slams hard across the ground, motionless, as the girl observes in horror and amazement. His status card falls open, showing skill ranks and statistics boosted by balancing effects. Despite his effort, his magic is too frail to affect the monster's heavy defenses. He thinks on his dreams and the others he wants to defend and support. Annoyed by past helplessness, he announces his determination to stop depending on others forever. Summoning strength, he stands again, clenching his sword, refusing to collapse under despair. Despite the enemy's chant, he rushes forward, resolved to defy fate and defend everyone. He triggers guard out again, facing the charging beast with bold determination and raw courage. He casts Wind Shot, channeling energy to hit the beast with a whirlwind-empowered sword hit. The spell slams into the beast's head mid-incantation, interrupting its lethal rush with explosive might. Multiple guard-out spells reduce the monster's defenses, weakening it further with each shout and flash. The beast responds, employing emergency evasion and body hardening, bracing for the retaliation with swirling speed. He combines guard-out, wind shot, and clear cut in swift succession, trying to pierce through. One of the girls observes uneasily. Cross is overusing abilities recklessly against the charging beast. Cross grabs a sword from the ground, resolved to end the clash with accuracy this time. He rushes forward, eyes attentive, and slashes with full strength as rubble flies around his target. A strong shockwave bursts. Cross yells for more might while overwhelming the beast with unceasing strain. Despite predictions, his momentum keeps increasing. The girl is shocked his hit hasn't slowed down at all. Cross triggers a new skill. An overwhelming might surges outward, stunning his monstrous foe instantly. The scene moves to Almeria's prestigious academy, where questions arise about Cross's mysterious background. Inside the dean's office, the three mentors uncover something startling hidden within Cross's confidential student record. They inspect an arcane screen showing his innate capacity, one tied to swift skill development and mastery. The skill Cinderella Gray grants unparalleled development promise, explaining his explosive strength and unorthodox development speed. The mentors analyzed Cross's unique skill. None of them had encountered anything similar before. Cross engaged the beast mid-air. Observers recognized his abnormal development wasn't usual by any standard. His status showed several high-level abilities. Every scene in battle caused his abilities to evolve rapidly. Empowered by adrenaline and agony, Cross pushed forward, unleashing another rush of energy through sheer will. Cross holds a hidden skill that rapidly raises mastering speed, confusing even his elite mentors. A high-danger beast appears in the novice forest, prompting alarm and the array of teams. Cross and Giselle participate the beast alone. Cross uses sword techniques while Giselle provides support. Giselle instructs Cross to concentrate his magic into his palms, forming a lethal wind bullet. Cross releases dark magic with full aggression, combining ferocious rage and strength to break enemy defenses. Cross moves so swiftly and fiercely that it looks like several warriors are attacking alone. With each landed hit, system notifications flood in as his skill ranks rise continuously mid-battle. His statistics skyrocket every attribute and approach sharpen through relentless use under high-stress combat conditions. Despite exhaustion, Cross slashes again. His body trembles, yet his concentrate and will remain intact. The beast endures untouched. Cross burns with desperation, uncertain if he can endure to the end. The beast releases a huge blast. Cross steadies himself, overcome by the approaching wave of fire. The hit hits hard. Cross survives, yet is abruptly warned he's missing an essential countermeasure. Giselle appears, showing her magic breaks the enemy's abilities. She readies to support the battle. Cross is shocked by Giselle's strength. She commands him to prepare wind magic for combination. Together they unleash a synchronized hit. Giselle's lovely magic breaks, while Cross fires his wind shot. Giselle commands Cross to follow through. A whirlwind forms, drawing the monster's attention and bewilderment. Their combination hit breaks through. Cross's final hit pierces the beast, creating it to scream in agony. Cross confirms the hit worked. He rejoices briefly until Giselle yells not to lower his guard yet. Cross lets down his guard. The wounded beast abruptly glares and readies a vicious retaliation. As the beast lunges, Cross realizes too late he's exposed, vulnerable and caught in a lethal scene. Giselle sacrifices herself to shield Cross, taking the full brunt of the monster's retaliation. The monster's hit sends waves. Both warriors are thrown back as rubble scatters across the battlefield. Bruised and coughing, Giselle scolds Cross. She falls, reminding him why she used her magic. Giselle remembers her sister and cries, devastated. She begs her not to die in front. Cross confronts the beast alone. Although wounded and afraid, he builds, trembling yet refusing to flee. Cross remembers her words, fear is natural. To endure you train, endure and maneuver forward. He stands tall, beaten yet burning. His faith in hard work steels his shaking grip. Cross triggers all his minor enhancements. He pours everything into a final skill combination assault. He yells the chant, invoking all the training and magic his mentors gave him. The wind swirls fiercely. An arcane chant escapes Cross unconsciously, his mouth moving with frightening instinct. Cross unknowingly casts a new spell, an unstable fusion between wind shot and guard-out magic. Observers realize the impossible. A fusion between magic and black magic has formed an extra skill. System registers the anomaly. Error skill Aegis, a approach not defined in standard capacity parameters. Cross releases Aegis shot, blasting the monster's chest with condensed dark energy at point-blank range. The hit weakens the monster's body briefly enough to reveal a fatal opening for a lethal hit. Cross drives his blade into the monster's exposed frail point, shattering armor and piercing deep inside. The beast weakens from Aegis shot. Cross seizes the scene and drives his blade deeper. With a final roar, Cross's hit tears through the monster's core. It starts to collapse. Giselle observes the beast fall. She's shocked. Cross, once powerless, now stands over its beaten body. She remembers how Cross was ridiculed, frail and jobless, unable to even battle back tears. Despite rejection and humiliation, Cross never quit. Through agony and failure, he kept moving towards strength. Exhausted yet triumphant, Cross kneels beside the fallen beast, recognizing he actually won alone. Struggling to breathe, Cross releases pressure. Agony floods in, yet relief washes over his face. He whispers in amazement. Giselle gazes, equally shocked. Together they really did defeat the beast. Cross rejoices with Giselle. She's shocked by his strength, wondering about the strange skill he used. An awkward scene obeys. Cross grabs her hand unknowingly. Giselle blushes, furious and puzzled by the gesture. Giselle encourages Cross to dismantle the corpse for materials before more monsters arrive nearby. Before they start, a huge shockwave abruptly blasts across the area, scattering the ground fiercely. 3 strong women approach in a storm. They misinterpret Giselle's involvement as something personal and vindictive. One proposes leveling the entire forest. Another dreads Cross might still be in the blast radius. Amid all the chaos, Cross and Giselle remain collapsed beside the monster's corpse, quiet, unmindful, resting. Giselle and Cross quietly rest against the monster's corpse, unmindful of the others rushing over. The masters arrive in alarm. Astonished, Cross beaten a rock lizard and rush to heal him. Cross tries to thank them, yet falls again. Chaos bursts as complaints and awkward moments fly. Giselle observes in horror, recognizing these overpowered women make level 4 monsters seem utterly insignificant. Cross smiles weakly while slipping out again, whispering gratitude and wondering if he came close enough. Cross dreams of becoming a true adventurer, someone dependable, able to rescue others in crisis. The large building stands under sunlight, signaling Cross's recovery and the safety of civilization. Cross stirs in bed, gradually awakening after collapsing from battle's exhaustion and his slipping strength. The girls gather around Cross with relief, concerned for his health and eager to assist. Cross realizes he's safe inside the mansion, overcome by gratitude and everyone's attempts to rescue him. Cross and Giselle restore in silence beneath the sun, resting against the slain beast's huge head together. Cross is swarmed by his comrades, who marvel at his feat and rush to heal his battered body. Cross appreciates his mentors through broken words, then passes out as bewilderment and chaos break out among the girls. Overcome by the girls' antics, Cross realizes they're scarier than monsters, strong, loud, and emotionally erratic. Cross fades into unconsciousness with a calm smile, as the others alarm and scramble to rescue him. Cross thanked his mentors, and proudly recounted his battle against a dangerous level 4 beast. He credited their instruction, reflecting on how even unknown abilities emerged during his desperate struggle. The girls considered scolding him yet forgave him due to his humility and cheerful gratitude. Days later, Cross joined at the prestigious Royal Adventurers School Almeria to continue his training. Entering the lively lecture hall, Cross was shocked as pupils paused and turned to gaze. Cross entered the lecture hall, drawing attention. Pupils whispered, questioning his beast-slaying tale. A quick motion from Giselle surprised everyone. Cross stood puzzled, sensing a misunderstanding brewing. Cross tried to ask about her health, yet Giselle's rage and pressure intensified instead. Flustered and uncertain, Giselle defended her moves while peers teased her unresolved grudge against Cross. Not understanding the circumstances, Cross tried to distance himself, yet Giselle reacted with flustered bewilderment. Giselle blushes, awkwardly apologizing to Cross for her behavior, eventually breaking the pressure between them. The boys, feeling guilty, shout their apologies in unison, catching Cross completely off guard. Cross forgives them without reluctance, surprising everyone with his gentleness, creating concern about his naivety. Their reconciliation halts class, prompting whispers of rumors, abilities, and admiration from surrounding pupils and adventurers. Elsewhere, a noble woman ridicules the tale, questioning a jobless commoner's strength, yet smirks knowingly to herself. As Cross watched from behind, the girl walked away, leaving him wondering if they reconciled. 3 women observe as the boy chants a strong incantation, magic gathering fiercely around him. Channeling the charged energy into his blade, he roars the skill name and releases Aegis shot. The hit bursts forward. He rushes through the blast, locking eyes with the approaching woman warrior. Employing the blast momentum, he leaps and drives his knee directly into her armored chest. Astonished yet unharmed, she confesses his skill, recognizing his low-level maneuver holds unforeseen destructive promise. One master analyzes his approach, merging black, warrior, and magic abilities into a lethal combination. Pleased of his development, the women audience him, each praising him as their talented disciple. Despite commend, they acknowledge the chant is long and accuracy low, success rate stays erratic at best. They explain that even failed abilities can deceive enemies, calming nerves and opening strategic advantages. Humbled, he decides to concentrate on polishing basics. The veterans plan structured training from now on. Cross releases an unforeseen approach. The masters are shocked by what they call an error skill. His statistics reveal explosive development after battle boosted by a hidden talent known as Cinderella Grey. Realizing Cross's promise, each master secretly plots to win him over for personal gain. Later, Cross resumes daily chores, unmindful of the ferocious interest he's ignited among his mentors. One teacher invites him to relax together, hinting at a more personal link beyond training. Each master proposes a one-on-one outing, disguising it as education, training, or battle study. Telonia embraces Cross tightly, suggesting board games and shopping, while others watch in amazement. Arguments break out among the mentors, each refusing to back down, preparing to settle things with strength. They abruptly leave for light exercise, leaving Cross puzzled and alone at the dinner table. Cross gazes out uneasily, as distant tremors and explosive waves shake the calm evening walls. The ferocious match ends in a draw, with all 3 women battered yet still competitive. To settle prospects turns with Cross, they agree to a lottery, trying to stay civil. The next day, the large gladiator hall fills with onlookers eager to witness the tournament. 2 cloaked figures admire the sight, eager by the audience and the prime ring seats. Ryan and Cross applaud from the stands, enjoying the fights and bonding through shared delight. Cross observes in awe as the semifinals unfold, astonished by the fighters' strategic development. 2 seasoned warriors enter. Cross wonders at their strength, while Ryan analyzes their class ranks. Ryan describes appraisal abilities, showing how even basic ones can offer useful insight during matches.
she encourages Cross to learn through observation and proposes a friendly bet on the outcome. Cross pauses yet receives the wager, eager to participate and learn through this light-hearted test. Cross places his bet, choosing the underdog Quick Flash Knight over the higher-level Heavy Warrior. Ryan describes the Heavy Warrior's defensive tactic: endure attacks, then counter with one final hit. The Quick Flash Knight rushes forward, nimble and rapid, yet warned of possible counter techniques. The Knight's swift hit shatters the field. Heavy Warrior drops his weapon, caught in a blast. As smoke clears, the Quick Flash Knight stands triumphant. Cross observes in shocked silence and awe. Pavlov is declared champion. Cross is astonished. Ryan quietly smiles, satisfied with the day's delight. On their walk back, Cross praises Ryan's teachings and requests to go with her again. Despite losing the bet, Ryan offers Cross food, flustered by his gentleness and innocent charm. Pavlov joins the competitor's waiting room, receiving commend from nobles observing his pledging performance. House Richmond discusses noble strength labors. Pavlov is urged to expand influence amid rising faction disputes. Catalia Richmond announces her intent to lead expansion, proving strength through strength and noble influence. She boldly requests which match best showcases her faction's strength in the coming competition. Pointing to a poster, she proposes a large event to display their dominance to all. The next day, Cross thinks happily on the tournament, unmindful of the looming noble ambitions. Cross moves into Giselle, who unexpectedly offers economic assist after hearing rumors among the orphans. Cross, now recruited for a quest, uneasily requests if it's really okay to participate, uncertain. After receiving the quest details, Cross spots a difficult job, difficult whether he's prepared for it. When Cross sees a rewarding fluffy slime suppression quest, his eagerness pushes him to accept. The slime suppression match starts. Cross realizes repays depend on subjugation count tracked by magic. Giselle shows she ranked up from her previous battle, qualifying to lead their current quest. Others audience Cross for training tips. Flustered, he tries to deflect, yet Giselle breaks steadily. Giselle cautions Cross to be cautious and secretive. She confesses concern, not wanting unnecessary blame. Cross appreciates her sincerely. They agree to keep everything quiet, sealing the scene as shared trust. Giselle grew flustered from Cross's words, her face reddening while trying to compose herself swiftly. The party spotted a distant swarm approaching rapidly. Everyone braced for battle as pressure built. A huge wave of fluffy slimes darkened the sky, descending aggressively toward the gathered warriors. Giselle led the rush with assurance, commanding everyone to follow the coordinated battle array plan. Mages unleashed elemental spells, fire, water, and wind, hitting the swarm while Cross rallied with resolved determination. Mages from every side unleashed elemental attacks, preparing to suppress the soaring slime swarm's assault. The elemental barrage struck the advancing slimes, sending smoke and slime bodies scattering across the battlefield. Giselle charged with determination, facing the charging slimes head-on, sword gripped tightly in protection. With the battle ignited, everyone fought fiercely. The suppression match really began in full might. Giselle led the rush, slashing slimes in a frenzy as others followed in coordinated combat. The team competes intensely, counting slimes beaten. Everyone pushes themselves to outscore one another rapidly. A second wave of soaring slimes surges in. The team steadies for the next assault. Despite casting spells, the slime swarm's speed and might remain unbroken, surprising the frontline fighters. A huge storm of slime slams down, overwhelming the team and forcing them to fall back. Giselle commands a defensive stance. They realize the slimes are harder than anticipated, demanding quick adaptation. A quick blast bursts, engulfing the entire field in blinding fire and scattered rubble. The mage chuckles gleefully, pleased of the collision, while onlookers gaze in surprise and bewilderment. Dis realizes the magic used resembles bombing spells. The caster smirks boldly at his reaction. She describes her long-range magic approach, leaving destroyed monsters and astonished mages behind her. Casting again, she readies a follow-up bombardment, chanting as arcane projectiles float ominously overhead. She releases a swarm of arcane bombs, shrieking "kill" as they rush toward the battlefield below. Supporting mages unleash rock cannon, combining intermediate earth magic with the bombing barrage for full area saturation. A team of melee fighters, assured and resolved, tells the mages they'll finish off the survivors. Amid wild combat, the frontliners rush in, evading and brawling while monsters fall rapidly under heavy strain. Recognized as the Gladiator Tournament champion, the smug mage releases another huge, elegant, magic-fueled annihilation spell. Giselle identifies the flamboyant caster as Catalia Richmond, a strong, flashy noble who loves attention.
Catalia, a mid-level noble and 16-year-old dual mage, astonishes others with her explosive strength. Giselle describes the value of knowing nobles, as strength labors often determine one's safety here. Slimes still swarm the field. The team halts chatter and readies to eliminate lingering enemies swiftly. The scene moves to a large ring, where the winner of the fluffy slime hunt is announced. Catalia's team triumphs with 2,628 slimes. Giselle's team barely reaches 221, starting envy and bewilderment. Despite the defeat, Giselle stays attentive, urging her team to prepare for the next opportunity. They reflect on coordination failures array broke, mages overcome. New training is planned to fix teamwork problems. Giselle cautions Cross to join training if he wants more repays, urging discipline despite his nerves. The team speculates Giselle's motives, mocking Cross until she overhears and glares, sending alarm through the team. Cross spots a noble carriage inside. Catalia hides her gaze behind a fan, watching quietly. Puzzled by the noble's aura, Cross observes as Catalia quietly steps from her carriage. From the carriage, nobles observe Cross's team, observing their becoming reputation among townspeople and adventurers. They consider the classless orphan and Giselle's victory over a rock lizard, skeptical yet intrigued. Laughing, Catalia ridicules their reputation. Nobles question the rumors and decide to test Cross's party next. Cross and Giselle go by a noble carriage. Inside, nobles plot to recruit skilled adventurers. Catalia plans to recruit Giselle, yet if loyalty fails, she intends to eliminate her swiftly. At Orphan's private ground, the woman instructor starts ferocious training employing slime-shaped projectile stones. The children eagerly launch plushy stone slimes, mimicking real monsters, beginning the warrior's evasion exercise. Cross and his team brace themselves, placement defensively as the soft slimes fly toward them rapidly. They deflect and dodge furiously, yet Cross stumbles under strain when one projectile nearly hits him. The instructor yells furiously. Cross apologizes, flustered, while his teammates respond to the wild mock battle. Despite the chaos, Cross enjoys training beside others, feeling unity and delight for the first time. An arrogant noblewoman breaks the match, mocking their outdated methods and absence of noble-level resources. She pretends to commend Giselle, then humiliates her by referencing a past defeat to commoners. Feigning sympathy, the noble accuses Giselle of lying, provoking outrage from the orphans and her pupils. She announces herself their superior, offering protection and share for obedience under the Richmond noble household. Giselle rejects the noble's offer, declaring independence. The nobles subtly threaten retaliation in response. Catalia cautions them coldly, pledging regret. Her knights quietly watch as tensions quietly escalate behind her. Cross questions Giselle's refusal, yet she demands silence and insists they resume training immediately. The next day, they rush to register for a quest yet are unexpectedly denied access. A guild officer shows a Richmond countess accuse them of an unspecified sincere infraction, stunning everyone. Catalia smugly arrives, flaunting her authority. Giselle clenches her fist, furious at the underhanded manipulation. Catalia's guards insult Giselle's team. Giselle explodes, refusing to be intimidated or silenced by nobles. Catalia offers to retract her complaint, yet only if Giselle submits and joins her faction. Catalia demands full subservience. Giselle, disgusted by the offer, resolves to confront her directly in defiance. Giselle dares Catalia to a match: freedom if she wins, submission if she loses everything. Catalia receives the match. The guild schedules it for 2 weeks later, formalizing the test. They agree on a 7 versus 7 battle. Giselle promises to crush Catalia's arrogance before everyone. Cross freaks. Giselle lashes out, blaming him for the circumstances, then storms off in annoyance. Giselle describes Catalia's team seeks strength through influence, employing contests to expand order across town. She shows this city gathers noble heirs searching for spouses, explaining its ferocious political strain. Nobles aim to rise through influence in Bascarubia, treating the town as global training grounds. Strong nobles defend territory with might. Frail nobles lose respect, just like dishonored individuals in society. Noble heirs seek to marry heroes, employing marriage and conquest to expand strength without restraint. Targeting beaten orphans boosts noble status. Stating subjugated commoners strengthens their image and order. Giselle describes nobles exploit commoners. Cross realizes the stakes, apologizes, and understands the game's brutal depth. Giselle identifies the match as a leader battle. Defeating Catalia swiftly is their winning condition. Motivated by the stakes, her team rallies with determination to take down the arrogant nobles. Cross describes their dire circumstances to others, and eventually decides to prepare earnestly for battle. The mentors suggest strategies, speed training, overwhelming attacks, and disruptive tactics to offset the enemy's numbers. The mentors debate fiercely, each believing their own brutal or wild training approach is best for victory. A new strategist appears, identifying the enemy team as a fixed artillery array with durability. She concludes Cross is the key to winning, since tactics alone can't break enemy protection. Cross's rare hybrid class allows him mobility, and dual hit types promise to shift the battlefield. The strategist proposes training Cross into a true magic swordsman to harness both skill sets effectively. Cross discovers that magic swordsman is a combat style, not a class requiring ferocious dual discipline training. A strategist criticizes Cross's unstable abilities and insists he learn reliable, high-powered magic for safety. The mentors reluctantly agree to prioritize Cross's magic training, setting aside personal satisfaction for his sake. Cross is flown to the Abyssal Sea of Trees, a zone of elite magic. The area is reshaped for training. Cross must now battle monsters to grow magically harder. Lewin releases high-rank water magic, flooding the forest and reshaping terrain for upcoming beast combat training. Cross requests about Lewin's magic types. She avoids answering, instead proving the area's readiness for battle. She throws an incense pouch into the air, quietly preparing to draw monsters in. A horde of aggressive monsters rushes forward, summoned by the strong scent spreading across the forest. Lewin describes the incense lures frail monsters. Cross freaks as they close in from every side. Cross freaks as Telemia gleefully releases an overwhelming horde of summoned monsters for his training. With monsters beaten, the mentors quietly announce this large-scale battle was only the beginning phase. Lewin restrains Cross, preparing him mentally and physically for ferocious magic-based shooting practice to start immediately. She instructs him to concentrate magic flow, repeating wind shots steadily to develop arcane accuracy. Cross fires a huge wind shot, obliterating monsters and terrain in a strong magic rush. Cross freaks as Telemia gleefully releases an overwhelming horde of summoned monsters for his training. With monsters beaten, the mentors quietly announce this large-scale battle was only the beginning phase. Lewin restrains Cross, preparing him mentally and physically for ferocious magic-based shooting practice to start immediately. She instructs him to concentrate magic flow, repeating wind shots steadily to develop arcane accuracy. Cross fires a huge wind shot, obliterating monsters and terrain in a strong magic rush. Cross protested the overwhelming task. Telemia happily complied, summoning waves of strange, aggressive monsters. Monsters piled up, beaten. Cross was shocked by the result. Training would start from here. With monsters surrounding them, Ludmila steadily embraced Cross, prepared to initiate the ferocious training process. She instructed him to channel magic precisely. Cross began releasing attentive wind shots non-stop. Under Ludmila's guidance, Cross launched a huge wind shot, fiercely scattering enemies across the field. A huge three-headed beast abruptly lunged forward, jaws snapping, and completely swallowed Cross in one gulp. The girls froze in surprise as the beast stood tall, Cross nowhere to be seen. Ludmila quietly assessed the circumstances, locking eyes with the beast, calmed by the unforeseen turn. Cross erupted from the monster's gut with a strong wind shot, blasting the beast apart. Wounded and gasping, Cross fought off more beasts, urging forward to cast his final spells. Cross hesitated, overcome by the beast's fangs. His mentors urged him to stay calm. Despite fear, Cross began chanting while running. He remembered Ludmila's teachings and steadied his determination. He unleashed a ferocious wind shot straight at the beast, sending it staggering from collision. Seeing Wind's versatility, Cross adjusted distance, preparing to launch another accurate, mobility-based retaliation against it. Cross believed his hit prevailed, yet the monster's regenerated head left him shocked and panicking. Cross discovers Cerberus can regenerate unless all three heads are destroyed at the same time. Despite the danger, Cross rushes forward as Cerberus releases destructive magic beams at full strength. After enduring the battle, Cross falls, and Ludmila ends the day's severe training match. The next day, Cross explores the serene eastern forests of Basque Rubia with Ludmila. Ludmila shows she brought Cross there intentionally to share calm time alone after training. They calm under the trees. Ludmila demanding rest was also a vital part of training. Curious, he asked her past. She admitted fleeing the elven forest, unconcerned by human boundaries. She called him her cherished disciple. He concerned he'd pried too far, yet she encouraged. Ludmila revealed her lonely youth. Others avoided her, seeing her honesty as a disruptive trait. Despite her past isolation, she believed dares develop strength. Her words gave him silent encouragement. They sat peacefully beneath the trees. Training paused, emotions quieted, and reflection took root. The boy launched high, employing a wind vortex, catching Cerberus's attention with a quick assault. Recognizing his prior tactics failed, he began dividing wind energy, refining order for double targets. Gathering strength in both arms, he unleashed twin spirals, shouting his spell with absolute determination. The violent twin wind blasts tore forward, hitting Cerberus's heads together with crushing, explosive might. The boy launched himself into the air, evading the Cerberus's beam while trying a retaliation. Exhausted yet resolved, he pushed forward as his teacher watched, seeing his steady development. A giant beast roared back to life as Cross launched magic, shocked by its swift regeneration. Just before being struck, Telemea arrived and beaten the beast, saving Cross from danger again. Despite exhaustion, Cross wanted to continue training, yet his masters insisted rest was now essential. Understanding her wisdom, Cross lowered his head, accepting rest as part of development and recovery. Although uneasy with the match approaching, Cross agreed to light training under his master's careful guidance. To master wind magic order, Cross practiced by cleaning, yet chaos erupted with every motion. Cross struggled to balance arcane might, while his teacher quietly instructed him to continue until dinner. Beyond the academy, his teacher reminded him to feel mana flow and never lose awareness. Despite wrecked dishes and accidents, Cross showed development, his teacher praising subtle development in magic order. Late at night, Cross ignored guidance to rest, still eager to refine his magic accuracy. During laundry training, Cross overused wind magic, accidentally releasing undergarments high into the swirling air. As the clothes flew beyond, surprised girls screamed upon seeing their underwear in plain sight. Chaos erupted when Telemea misunderstood the scene, hugging Cross tightly, while another master rushed over. Shocked and flustered, the teacher confirmed her underwear was involved, blaming Cross for training recklessly. Abruptly, lightning cracked the sky, an ominous sign hinting that more sincere trials were approaching rapid. With the match approaching, Cross was tasked to defeat the Borborus to finish his training. Cross strategized to combine wind magic with motion, trying to hit without any delay gaps. His master revealed new wind magic subtle, lethal, and key to unlocking his true promise. Faced with the looming Borborus, Cross summoned wind around him, preparing for the critical test. Resolved and attentive, Cross charged forward, releasing his hit spell to prove his training complete. Cross unleashed intermediate wind magic, releasing into the air with a strong approach called Graceful Leap. He soared toward the Borborus, eyes sharp, resolved to land a final, finishing hit. With accuracy, Cross dashed forward midair, trying straight at the beast's core without reluctance. His teacher explained Graceful Leap's function, enhancing motion and jump distance, employing finely controlled wind energy. The spell gave minor midair adjustments, allowing Cross to evade, reposition, and hit with ideal moment. Cross's hit shattered the enemy's core, his accuracy strong enough to determine the entire battle. He slipped behind the beast's guard, readying a hit to hit both remaining heads together. Unleashing Wind Shot, Cross thrown both targets, yet the beast retaliated with a lethal counter. Cross realized each Borborus head acted as distinct roles: attacker, support, and scout, like 9 fighters combined. The battle was more than survival, it was preparation for the team match awaiting him soon. Cross pushed forward in desperation, believing he couldn't win the upcoming match without victory here. The Borborus unleashed a huge retaliation, clashing with Cross's wind spiral in explosive might. While struggling to overpower it, Cross realized the third head was regenerating mid-battle. Telemea rushed to assist, yet Cross shouted his chant, trying for one final hit. His chant changed mid-cast, surprising his teacher. Cross's magic attributes kept becoming with each passing scene. Astonished by Cross's development, his teacher quietly acknowledged the brilliance of his evolving spellwork. Cross strained with everything he had, unleashing a storm-like rush of strength from above. As one head exploded, Telemea shouted his name in surprise and fear for his safety. Elsewhere at Orphan's training ground, others sparred intensely, unmindful of Cross's solo, life-risking battle. Giselle explained Cross skipped team drills he was preparing alone for the upcoming team-based confrontation. Cross was recognized as the team's ace, his training now vital to their tactic. The team committed to their own development, curious yet uncertain about Cross's ferocious solo regimen. Cross returned happily, yet his unchanged demeanor left his teammates shocked by the perceived contradiction. Elsewhere, Ludmila proudly affirmed she expected his development. her assurance unwavering amidst brewing storms. Standing beside the fallen Barbaros, Ludmila declared his success inevitable under her meticulous training guidance. Cross praised his teammates' development, unmindful Ludmila's increased magic. Cinderella Grey secretly boosted their abilities. The match day arrived, setting the stage for the Richmond faction and Orphan team confrontation. The Orphan team reviewed their tactic one last time, fully resolved to claim victory together. Both factions assembled, facing each other as the referee prepared to declare the formal start. Pressure escalated when insults were exchanged, showing deep hostility between the noble and orphan leaders. Cross analyzed the enemy's strongest members, recalling Giselle's intel on their combat styles and roles. Catalia Richmond, a strong dual-element mage, stood proudly as the Richmond faction's commanding leader. Cross mentally assessed the enemy lineup, seeing their healers, elemental mages, and strategic combat roles. The formal declared the duel's boundaries protected by High Priest magic to prevent fatal consequences. Contestants were given tags that signaled elimination through color shift upon injury-triggered magic activation. To everyone's surprise, the match format was announced: a high-stakes, full-team extermination match. The team protested the unfair rules, mastering that even a draw disqualified them from quests. Angered by the manipulation, Giselle accused the nobles of cowardice and backhanded tactics before battle. Catalia feigned ignorance while her team scoffed, and Irida ordered everyone to take positions. Despite rule changes, Giselle remained assured, rallying her allies with hidden knowledge of her capacity. Catalia's faction laughed smugly, yet began speculating about Giselle's rumored past victory, employing a hidden strength. Darius boldly dismissed the possibility of defeat, trusting their overwhelming strength in the extermination-style match. The match officially began. Both teams moved from their beginning positions, pressure crackling across the battlefield. Catalia's scouts pinpointed the orphan's location. Assured, she readied her magic to hit first. With destructive accuracy, Catalia unleashed bombing magic, instantly erasing the forest area housing her enemies. Believing victory assured, Catalia smiled, thinking her brother would commend her for crushing weaklings. Catalia sensed something wrong. Her magic disappeared midair. Bewilderment spread among her team as explosions paused. The orphans launched a retaliation. Giselle's plan worked. Her magic cancelled Catalia's explosive spell. An enormous arcane shockwave expanded across the battlefield, erasing trees and shaking both sides. Catalia's team struggled through the wreckage. Her magic failed, and uncertainty clouded her warriors' expressions. Shock struck the Richmond team. Giselle's unknown skill disrupted everything. Catalia couldn't believe she was losing. Catalia's team is shaken as their healer is knocked out, disabling their support capabilities instantly. Despite arcane interference, Catalia commands her allies to regroup and rely on melee combat strength. Spotting an approaching enemy, Catalia loses calm and tells her subordinates to intercept them immediately. Next, the classless boy rushes forward, empowered by Giselle's successful arcane interference. Spotting Catalia's forces, he races through the forest, preparing for a quick high-speed melee assault. Pavlov's team stands wary as Cross halts, summoning wind magic while everyone wonders why he's stalling. Cross channels attentive wind incantations, weaving strength around his spear while Giselle observes quietly from afar. In a flashback, Cross expresses doubts over victory. Giselle encourages him, trusting in his becoming strength. Reciting incantations, Cross intensifies his spell, trying to pierce enemies with destructive wind-based arcane bombardment. Cross releases Triple Wind Lance, his higher-level spell exploding forward with might, stunning allies and enemies alike. Catalia's forces brace as Cross's team approaches through the trees, bewilderment and pressure gripping the defenders. A quick arcane assault engulfs Catalia's team, several tornadoes tearing through the array and scattering everyone fiercely. Catalia freaks as her allies are flung aside by the wild storm, completely blindsided by the hit. Her warriors crawl from the wreckage, shocked by the speed and strength of enemy wind magic. Recognizing their vulnerability, Catalia's team splits forces to hunt the hidden mages concealed throughout the forest. Catalia readied her staff, while the warrior warned her. Pressure rose. They anticipated a quick hit. Abruptly, Cross launched from the ground, employing momentum and wind magic to close the distance instantly. Cross locked onto his target with accuracy. Catalia, surprised, realized she had miscalculated his position. Cross's hit neared Catalia, yet her comrade intercepted just in time, blocking the incoming lethal hit. A huge swordsman descends from above, startling the enemies. The classless boy rushes in boldly. He hits first, trying for the neck, yet the enemy blocks it with chilling accuracy. The mage ridicules him,
explaining his purpose is distraction. Darius is ordered to finish the job. Darius roars and slashes wide. The boy is flung away as strength surges from his blade. The mage tumbles back in surprise. The boy grits his teeth, shocked by overwhelming brute strength. The warrior tells a full retreat to defend Catalia, underestimating the boy's true promise again. Darius now identifies the boy's combat development magic and melee abilities beyond any ordinary classless fighter. The boy's arrival breaks their order. Darius rushes, declaring the classless as their highest threat. A full-powered assault starts. Warriors jump with abilities triggered. The boy steadies, surrounded yet calm. Evading attacks swiftly, he taunts them. Their strength and protection fails against his evasive tactic. The battlefield moves as a new wave approaches. Fellow orphans rush in with ferocious determination. Darius realizes the classless boy delayed them intentionally, allowing his allies to regroup and hit. Pavlov is ordered to retreat while Darius readies to stall the advancing orphans alone. The boy tries to break through Darius's wall. Darius responds with overwhelming defensive might. The boy is knocked down mid-air. His allies scream, watching his fall with concern. Cross builds again. Allies rally behind him. He focuses on saving Catalia and the team. Face to face, Cross confronts Darius. The air tenses as their match is about to ignite. Cross rushes forward, unleashing Clear Cut. Darius steadies, activating strong defensive and bodily reinforcement abilities. Cross's blade meets resistance. Darius blocks quietly, watching the boys becoming strength with sharp awareness. Darius lunges fiercely. Cross barely escapes, rolling back, employing emergency evasion to avoid a brutal hit. Cross searches through smoke. A mentor's voice reminds him heavy warriors master protection and endurance. He spots Darius preparing a destructive hit, his one polished skill for a lethal finisher. Darius releases Boulder Drop, hurling huge rubble from above. Cross steadies beneath the falling rubble. The others scramble in alarm, hearing Cross's scream. The team rushes forward, Catalia in front. Allies cast magic support. Fire and water blast outward, trying to break through Darius's front. Pavlov freaks. Their regrouping fails. Casualties rise, and Catalia begs for someone to act. The orphans press forward. Their order: don't let enemies restore. Hit swiftly from all angles. Annoyed, Catalia complains. Magic reflection blocked their advantage. Pavlov eventually realizes a tactical opportunity. The orphans vanish into the forest. Their enemies start a scattered search, resolved to retaliate. Aaron proposes they split up. Giselle grins, this might be their best chance to retaliation. Sensing reluctance, Giselle cautions her team to stay alert. The enemy's silence feels too deliberate. Boulders abruptly rain down. Enemy mages initiate an ambush with overwhelming might and sealing magic. The bombardment crushes the battlefield. Screams resound as stone and waves scatter the regrouping orphans. Survivors crawl from rubble. Giselle curses, checking on allies through clouds of dirt and rubble. She stares in horror. Niccolo and Chiara are down, 2 members eliminated in a single hit. Giselle realizes their magic is being countered. She suspects the enemy has mastered Lovely's boundaries. Pavlov and Catalia celebrate. They confirm Giselle's reflection magic can't be maintained without drawbacks. Catalia confirms Giselle can only reflect 2 spells. The enemy plans to overpower that frailty. They unleash simultaneous attacks from 3 angles. Magic circles activate with synchronized accuracy and intent. Giselle responds with Lovely magic, yet it's too late. More boulders descend with lethal moment. Giselle steadies as huge boulders crash down. Her defenses strain beneath the enemy's unceasing bombardment. Exhausted, Giselle questions their energy. Lovely magic drains mana swiftly, and Cross hasn't returned yet. Elsewhere, Darius observes quietly. Despite the chaos, his property tag shows no status shift. Cross eventually reappears, resolved. With sword drawn, he rushes directly at Darius to settle everything. Cross fires a ferocious double-bladed assault, trying directly at Darius's chest with full might. Darius blocks quietly, his strength unshaken. Cross's hit fails to pierce the warrior's huge protection. Darius responds with a strong hit. Cross is knocked away, overcome by sheer brute might. Darius announces his satisfaction and duty. Fueled by determination, he attacks again with greater speed. Darius triggers Boulder Drop, tearing the cliff apart and unleashing a new rockfall toward Cross. Darius rushes with Obstacle Charge, yet Cross responds instantly, escaping with an emergency evasion approach. Cross evades again, countering midair with his own Obstacle Charge, closing the gap with accuracy. He slashes, employing Clear Cut, yet Darius blocks the hit effortlessly with reinforced shield placement. Darius's rush fires Cross midair. Cross realizes the maneuver is attacking, not just for protection. Damaged, Cross understands.
Darius's approach converts protection into hit, redirecting all strain into one crushing hit. The enemy revealed its true spirit, an intelligent rock lizard warrior with overwhelming arcane aura. Acknowledging the classless fighter's reputation, the warrior cautions of unmatched hybrid melee magic capability. Driven by guilt and urgency, the champion initiates a ferocious rush to redeem past failures. The champion distances himself, starts a chant, preparing wind magic while evading the warrior's approach. The warrior lunges mid-chant, trying a crushing hit at the hero's unguarded solar plexus. Cross remembers his mentor's warning, chanting draws attacks. He reads his enemy's hit plans. Cross predicts the attack's angle and feints vulnerability. The warrior readies to unleash his finisher. Cross fires a quick retaliation mid-chant. His sword lands as the warrior is caught off guard. The huge warrior slams hard. Cross stands above him, having predicted and reversed the finishing maneuver. As the warrior labors to rise, Cross quietly continues chanting. His trap was perfectly executed. Cross releases triple wind lance, overwhelming the armored warrior with a burst of concentrated wind magic. The wind spirals fiercely, releasing the huge warrior skyward while Cross maintains full arcane order. The storm tears through the battlefield, carving a deep route and hurling rubble in every direction. Panting hard, Cross gazes at the devastation, difficult whether the final hit was really enough. To his surprise, the enemy builds again, armored body cracked yet still standing, eyes burning with rage. The boy's magic explodes forward. 3 wind lances tear through the lizard warrior's defenses. The spell fires the warrior skyward, spiraling uncontrollably in a tornado of sheer arcane might. A huge trail of harm is left behind, labeling the spell's overwhelming collision across the battlefield. Exhausted and trembling, the boy observes the dirt settle, uncertain if victory was really secured. From the smoke, the warrior emerges, still standing, his body now encased in solidified rock. Cross rushes aggressively toward Darius, trying to break through his protection with a strong obstacle hit. Cross uses emergency evasion to swiftly avoid Darius's retaliation and readies to hit again immediately. Cross lunges with a clear-cut sword hit, trying to break through Darius's heavy armor protection. Cross realizes obstacle charge is a skill designed to catch and counter his evasive moves. Darius blocks Cross's attacks with thick protection, preparing to unleash a strong boulder drop hit. Aaron releases a strong spell, yet realizes an enemy ranger is directing a coordinated ambush tactic. The team gets surrounded. The enemy cleverly stays beyond Aaron's detection range while coordinating multi-directional attacks. Trapped and overpowered, Aaron loses hope. Despite everyone's concern, she confesses there's nothing they can do. Aaron resists reckless action. She chooses to hold position and wait for Cross to arrive. A teammate steps forward, shouting defiantly, reminding Aaron they're not the only ones risking everything to battle. Although hesitant, Aaron decides. Her allies, although anxious, vow to assist her however they can. Enemy forces coordinate barrage spells. With Cross still missing, unceasing fire falls on Aaron's trapped team. A mage fires his hit. Yet mid-cast, something breaks the hit. He readies to reposition immediately. Unexpectedly, the boulder rebounds. The mage freaks, uncertain if he can defend against his own magic. Aaron's teammates ride the soaring boulder directly at the enemy, risking everything in a desperate retaliation. A blast tore through the forest as the cloaked man watched quietly from the shadows. 2 warriors lay beaten amid rubble, their bodies bruised and breath shallow from the failed ambush. Their enemy ridiculed their failure, laughing cruelly, unmindful the battle had not ended just yet. Abruptly, both warriors stood up with determination, showing their quick tactic wasn't over at all. The enemy panicked as they higher level they'd faked defeat, waiting for the ideal retaliation scene. After a brutal battle, he retrieved the tags of fallen comrades, honoring their sacrifice quietly. With renewed determination, they prepared to battle again, recalling the comrades they had nearly lost before. Their allies confirmed the break free was successful, employing magic to soften the fall for survival. Another squad emerged, employing the chaos to launch a quick hit while the enemy regrouped gradually. The enemy hesitated, puzzled by the orphans' quick retreat, giving them time to prepare counterattacks. Yale and Vigo collapsed, creating alarm. Sigurd realized they required backup and signaled the others. Reinforcements arrived swiftly. A mysterious girl led them, catching everyone off guard with her assured approach. The girl's team ambushed the nobles. She ridiculed them, showing their mages were already beaten. The nobles were shocked. Moments ago they had the advantage, now they faced complete turnaround. The girl explained her plan. Employing spell steal and tracking, she eliminated the mages one by one. The underdog team cornered the elite knight, sensing victory as the battle tide turned swiftly. Pavlov urged Sigurd to break free with Catalai, hoping to regroup with Darius for protection. The knight triggered his speed skill, resolved to stop Catalea before she could safely break free. Employing Hurricane Thrust, he launched a destructive hit, sending Sigurd and Pavlov soaring through the air. Both warriors crashed fiercely, shattered weapons scattering, as the knight's overwhelming strength halted their desperate break-free attempt. Cory is wounded. The knight readies for battle. The enemy seems strong, and everyone is tense. The knight ridicules the others, calling them frail. Abruptly, a huge beast slams into the scene. The beast falls, slain in an instant. The knight is shocked, uncertain who intervened so rapid. A young man appears from swirling energy. He's grinning, sword in hand, surprising everyone completely. The knight demands answers. The team realizes the boy beaten Darius alone, despite being classless. Kay defeats the enemy employing wind magic, stunning nearby soldiers who witnessed his unforeseen strength. A guard rushes to defend Catalea, urging her to break free before danger reaches them. A woman warrior ambushes the fleeing team, cutting down the soldier with ruthless accuracy and speed. As alarm spreads, Catalea and another soldier attempt to flee, while enemies close in swiftly. Kai casts triple wind lance, hoping his spell breaks the enemy's hit and buys them time. The Flash Knight lunged through the whirlwind, trying directly at the lone defender on the slope. He broke through the barrier with amazing speed, stunning his foe before a counter could start. The mage realized the Flash Knight could predict moves, evading and attacking quicker than they reacted. Yet a quick spell turned the knight's hit against him, reflecting magic in all directions. Sidetracked by the turnaround, the knight left his back open, giving the defender a clear hit. Cross responds the enemy's heavy hit, employing a quick approach he mastered from observation and training. The enemy responds, yet Cross responds instantly, returning a counter with an even harder retaliation. After the victory, Cross stands exhausted yet pleased, stunning everyone by defeating an intermediate-ranked knight. Cross shows his success came from watching Pavlov's techniques during a gladiator tournament with Ryon. Elsewhere, the enemy commander freaks her elite knight lost to a mere orphan combat in desperation. Catalea collapsed, exhausted. The forest hunt had turned brutal, and time was running out. Giselle and her team cornered Catalea. Their plan to overpower her had worked perfectly. Giselle ridiculed her fear. Catalea realized the forest rules made agony unavoidable, yet danger unlikely. With no mercy, Giselle launched an unceasing hit. Catalea struggled to defend against the onslaught. Bruised and broken, Catalea lay beaten. Giselle stood over her, triumphant and unchallenged. The match officially ends. The Richmond team is beaten. The orphan team claims a complete victory. Giselle restrains the afraid noble girl. The orphan team rejoices, having overcome status and fear. Catalea awakened under a tree, disoriented. Her allies stood nearby, watching her recovery quietly. She panicked, recalling the match. Darius confirmed their defeat. Her thoughts raced to the orphans. Shocked by defeat, Catalea feared punishment. Darius offered unity. They'd bow together in atonement. Blaming her subordinates, Catalea demanded answers. They hesitated, yet one stepped forward with destructive news. Flustered and puzzled, Catalea mastered her undergarments were exposed, a final hit to her satisfaction. Cross heard a scream in the distance. Instinctively, he turned toward it and froze, alert. From the hill, Cross saw both parties. His aura caused a shift in the atmosphere. A silent share between Darius and Cross followed, firm gazes seeing strength and mutual respect. Cross bowed. Darius smiled in approval. The losing side accepted defeat with surprising grace. Catalea clenched her fists. Although shamed, her determination strengthened. She'd stand pleased before her followers. Cross returned to the academy, snow slipping behind him, recollections rushing back harder than ever. His three strong masters welcomed him proudly, seeing his development and the battle he survived victoriously. Overcome with emotion, Cross declared his return, eventually feeling worthy of the place he once feared. Days later, battle resumed. Cross combined techniques, releasing a destructive triple wind lance against monstrous creatures. Victory was theirs. Cross stood triumphant among allies, blade raised, having proven himself through strength and spirit. The match concluded. 4 top parties, including Cross's, were summoned for public recognition and ranking. Cross's team placed 4th after subjugating over 2,000 slimes, earning loud applause and raised weapons. While his teammates praised, Cross quietly reflected on Catalea's absence and her mysterious withdrawal. Cross received a large prize pouch, overcome by the reward and everyone's commend for him. Although urged to celebrate, Cross declined. He already had a meaningful plan for the money. The quiet town settled into evening as Cross approached the area with something important planned. He had bought a special item, uneasily hoping his masters would appreciate the thoughtful gesture. Unexpectedly, he ran into Ludmila, catching him off guard with her quick, radiant aura. Flustered, Cross struggled to speak, gathering courage to demand a private scene to explain himself. He thanked her sincerely, crediting her training for his team's success and improved performance overall. Cross reflected on the victory, crediting Ludmila and his orphanage friends for their support. Ludmila quietly explained that the outcome was certain, stressing the value of strategic teamwork. She revealed her original intent to train Cross into someone capable of defeating corrupt nobles entirely. Blushing and anxious, Cross presented his handmade gift, uncertain if it matched her elite status. Although uncertain if sweets were enough, he sincerely wanted to express his deep gratitude to her. Ludmila was touched by Cross's heartfelt gift, unexpectedly overcome by emotion and satisfaction in him. She thanked Cross warmly, expressing how lucky she felt to have such a dedicated pupil. Abruptly, Telomia burst in, tackling Cross with warmth, surprising both him and Ludmila with delight. Telomia showered Cross with commend, while a jealous rival intervened, yanking her off with irritation. Flustered yet flattered, the rival accepted the gift, hiding her flustered feelings behind a forced smile. Pressure erupted as the girls fiercely argued over who Cross's heartfelt present was really for. Cross panicked, trying to calm everyone down by offering to purchase more gifts swiftly. To ease conflict, he organized a large banquet under moonlight, filled with desserts and tea. Laughter and cream-covered confronts followed, as the team let loose and shared sweets and delight. Later that night, Cross slept peacefully, unmindful his development astonished even the highest-ranking instructors again. Despite having zero base statistics, Cross's abilities have soared, showing swift and extensive capacity development. His statistics document in several languages confirms the remarkable rush in strength and arcane capabilities. Instructors analyze his development, shocked by his development, while a mysterious skill, Cinderella Grey, stays unclear. Each master thinks inwardly, pleased and protective, recognizing their once classless apprentice now outshines even nobles. Cross humbly credits his strength to his friend's support, knowing his true strength lies in unity. Cross thinks on his goal to become a heroic adventurer. Recognizing he's still far off, despite fatigue, Cross declines rest, choosing to continue training out of gratitude toward his mentors. With renewed determination, Cross heads to training, prepared to improve under his teacher's steady guidance. A luxurious ballroom hosts a large event, filled with guests and a towering mansion in the distance. The audience stares as a strong figure strides into the ballroom, all eyes on her. A young lady, dressed in a sparkling gown, steps forward surrounded by imposing figures. Onlookers whisper about Alicia Lafigalian, a remarkable hero's descendant with a mysterious collected demeanor. A masked figure steps forward with an intimidating aura, setting the stage for a ferocious confrontation. As tensions rise, the factions start discussing their competition, anticipating ferocious strength labors among the elite. A dinner gathering of the noble families is held, where three strong factions converge. Amidst the festivity, one member senses hidden conflict behind the smiles as the strength struggle starts. Alicia's name is whispered, as the strength dynamics shift and the concentrate turns to her legacy. A assured young man introduces himself, showing his identity as Gimlet Waldrea, the fourth son of Disgrave. A young man bows, requesting to be remembered, starting whispers and curiosity among the onlookers. Gimlet Waldrea's smile sends a chill down Alicia's spine as the moonlit night intensifies their pressure. Beyond, the magnificent mansion stands tall as the sound of distant conflict starts to resound. Inside the ring, a ferocious battle ensues as skilled warriors clash with boosted weapons and abilities. A resolved fighter, assured in her strength, improves her abilities with a smile, preparing for victory. A strong hit from the warrior sends her foe soaring, unleashing a storm of action and chaos. The young fighter pushes forward, struggling as he confronts his foe with desperation and forceful hits. Assured in her abilities, the woman confronts the incoming hit with a assured smirk, prepared to counter. Teaming up, the two warriors unleash their combined might in a strong maneuver triple wind lance. The ground trembles as a huge destructive might bursts, sending dirt and rubble soaring through the air. Out of breath, the warrior stands amidst the storm of battle, struggling to catch his breath. Pleased of her development, the young mage rejoices her success, now more strong than before. Her teacher praises her for advancing her magic and combat abilities, observing her becoming assurance. Alicia shouts out to Rion, prepared to demonstrate a new approach to her advancing disciple. The two women prepared to show their abilities, while the bewildered Cross stands caught in the middle. Cross eagerly observes as two skilled adventurers prepared for a match, delighted to see them battle. Lyudmila demonstrates wind magic's subtle strength, employing it strategically to maneuver without creating harm. Lyudmila performs a graceful jump, releasing herself with amazing speed as her foe looks on. The two warriors clash in a ferocious battle, each resolved to land a strong hit. The magic-wielding Lyudmila soars through the air, unleashing a hit as her foe is knocked back. The two strong fighters clash in a ferocious battle, their weapons creating sparks and explosive impacts. Lyudmila uses wind magic to demonstrate its versatility in combat, leaving Cross in awe of her strength. Alicia advises Ryan on handling various class abilities, stressing the value of mastering to adapt in battle. After a successful mission, Cross and Telomea share a quiet scene, discussing plans for the Magic Bazaar. Cross proudly shows his status plate, astonished by how far he's come since earning his abilities. Telomea is annoyed by the relentless regeneration of her abilities, screaming in both annoyance and amazement. Telomea expresses her annoyance over not being able to train Cross despite taking him as a disciple. Lyudmila argues with Telomea, stressing the value of not letting others take up too much of Cross training. They consider the need of a Dark Priest recovery abilities to ensure Cross safety on dangerous quests. In a scene of delight, Telomea hugs Cross, happily agreeing that his life is the top priority. Cross freaks as he realizes recovery magic is being used on him, difficult the situation's meaning. The villain taunts Cross, showing a picture of the Disgrave family and accusing them of disgrace. A sinister figure looms over the scene, sitting on a throne surrounded by fallen enemies. A woman frantically begs for forgiveness, afraid of punishment for her failure to predict the battle. A brave man, battered and bruised, begs for his friend to run away as the punishment intensifies. Gimlet Waldrea stands firm, gripping his sword, demanding accountability from his cousin for the disgrace caused. After a long meeting, a woman appreciates Gimlet for his hard work as she exits. Gimlet tells his subordinates to investigate the orphans who supposedly beaten Kitalea, suspecting their involvement. The orphans, including Cross, are now under investigation, with the value of their role highlighted. Cross decides to start his training with Telomea, who will teach him restoration magic for recovery. Rioni cautions Telomea to avoid making suspicious moves with Cross, giving her a stern reminder. The training swiftly intensifies into an awkward scene as Cross is forced into a compromising position. Cross, overcome and flustered, tries to grasp the strange healthy training Telomea insists on instruction him. Telomea defends her methods, explaining recovery magic as an important skill, while the team stays uneasy. Telomea instructs Cross on restoration magic, urging him to concentrate on feeling the magic during their practice. Cross, flustered, labors with the awkward position while Telomea insists on continuing the exercise. Lyudmila, concerned, cautions Telomea not to take things too far, yet Telomea defends her methods. The team debates whether Cross should be prepared by Telomea, as she defends recovery magic's value. Cross's training becomes a topic of concern among the team, with some questioning if the methods will work. Tensions rise as the team argues, each one fiercely protective of Cross and his training. Cross, exhausted from his difficult training, receives concerned looks as he labors to stay awake. After the ferocious training, a conversation arises about taking a break, with Cross considering a rival to the arms store. At the arms store, the team wonders at the remarkable quality of the weapons displayed. The team, now in the arms store, discusses the quality of the items, observing the store's reputation. Giselle argues with the others as they tease her about her interest in Cross, creating pressure. Giselle, met by an arms dealer, remembers her reputation and past victories in her adventures. Cross meets Giselle's favorite arms dealer, a dwarven woman, who expresses interest in Cross's abilities. Giselle and Cross consider the upcoming festival arrangements, where they plan to participate in a match. The combat festival starts with ferocious 1v1 matches across the city, showcasing its wild spirit. Cross and Giselle consider the value of being properly prepared for the festival's combat dares. Cross labors to select a weapon from the high-quality swords at the store, seeking guidance. After hesitating, Cross trusts Giselle's choice, believing the design will suit him best in the end. Cross appreciates Giselle with a smile, feeling that the sword now really fits his character. The arms dealer and the others remark on Giselle's abilities, mocking her for her poor decision-making. Cross buys a sword and is taught how to maintain it by the weapons dealer Giselle. Giselle polishes the sword, impressing Cross with her skill as the blade shines brilliantly. Giselle describes to Cross that daily weapon maintenance can extend its lifetime, even without abilities. Cross is astonished when his sword starts to shine, recognizing it has arcane properties. Cross's status plate shows that he has mastered the basic polishing skill after employing his sword. Cross receives commend for his talent, yet he pauses at Giselle's offer to nurture it. Cross walks through the city reflecting on his new abilities and the promised consequences. As Cross discovers about the upcoming combat festival, he realizes it's a good chance to gain practice. At dinner, the team talks about the combat festival, with some concern about safety. After some discussion, they weigh employing guard-out magic to stay safe while participating in the festival. Cross is running late, yet his friends urge him to hurry for the packed opening ceremony. The team rushes toward the festival, discussing how a past incident cleared space for the event. The ceremony is in full swing, with an overwhelming audience arriving for the combat festival. The opening ceremony starts, with delight filling the air as the competition is about to start. The battle starts with strong wind magic, sending swirling tornadoes as the contestants prepared for combat. The opening address starts, as Alicia Lafagalian, the hero's descendant, steps up to the stage. Alicia makes her large entrance, dazzling the audience with her elegant aura and radiant aura. The audience observes in awe, as Alicia captivates them with her stunning aura and assurance. Cross senses something different about Alicia from their last meeting as she introduces herself formally. Alicia Lafagalian, standing tall, talks about the world's close to collapse and how her ancestors saved it. Cross spots Alicia's strange mood during her speech, while the audience is in high spirits. Alicia speaks solemnly about her duty to defend the world, as the heroes prepared for battle. The audience applauds for the hero's test, and Cross continues to concern about Alicia's mood. Alicia observes Cross as he spots her sincere demeanor, feeling concerned as the competition starts. Alicia waves at the audience, radiating a warm smile that captivates everyone around her, particularly Cross. Cross, flustered, wonders if Alicia smiled and waved at him as the audience applauds. Cross wonders about Alicia's moves, puzzled by the smile, and questions whether he's imagining things. Cross's friends document Alicia's touch with him, and they tease him about their link. Alicia cheerfully pulls Cross in front of the audience, leaving him flustered as everyone chuckles. A combatant improves their speed before performing a quick hit, demonstrating strong skill during the festival. The audience roars as a participant wins another match, while the combat festival rages on in full swing. Priests are actively assisting hurt fighters, their work contributing to the lively festival atmosphere. Giselle slashes her sword fiercely, rallying everyone with her assurance and energy as the fights continue. Cross, now encouraged, contemplates stepping into a battle, drawing inspiration from Giselle's bravery and strength. The audience applauds for the strong dwarf who continues his winning streak in the combat festival. The huge dwarf enthusiastically dares others, boldly boasting about his undefeated streak and unmatched strength. Cross and his friend observe the dwarf, who towers over them, expressing reluctance about difficult him. The dwarf spots Cross and requests about his recent victory, mentioning his win against a noble. The dwarf, intrigued by Cross's promise, offers a test, daring him to test his strength. The dwarf chuckles after Cross dares him, and Cross feels a bit intimidated yet eager. Cross uneasily describes he's new to picking fights, yet boldly assures the dwarf he won't hold back. The audience observes excitedly as Cross, a classless fighter, readies to face a level 33 dwarf. Cross's friends comment on how dangerous it is to battle the dwarf, whose level is much higher. Cross, feeling anxious yet resolved, realizes he would have backed out before, yet now he's prepared to battle. Cross gets eager, feeling resolved for the upcoming battle despite the large gap in strength. The dwarf readies for the battle, charging with a strong swing that shakes the ground. Cross realizes the dwarf is employing an overpowering skill, a signature heavy warrior maneuver. As the battle intensifies, Cross is struck, yet he stays calm, feeling assured in his abilities. Cross compares the ferocious battle strain to Ryan, recognizing his development and how far he's come. Cross gets into position as the dwarf rushes at him with his huge weapon, looking ferocious. The dwarf slashes his weapon with great might, sending waves through the ground. Cross triggers his bodily and weapon enhancements, preparing for the ferocious clash with the dwarf. The dwarf uses a strong defensive skill, reinforcing his armor and clothing to withstand any hit. The battle intensifies, as Cross and the dwarf clash in a flurry of strong attacks. Cross hits with all his strength as the dwarf rushes forward with overwhelming might and strength. Audience stares in surprise, witnessing the ferocious battle between the classless Cross and the strong dwarf. Cross feels the adrenaline rush as his body feels quicker, unlocking a new combat style to match. Dwarf identifies Cross's abilities, eventually acknowledging the strength of the classless as he confronts the rising threat. As Cross disappears in a graceful jump, the dwarf roars, recognizing he has lost sight of his foe. Cross, with swift speed, evades the dwarf's hit and positions himself high above, earning an advantage. Leaping down with accuracy, Cross performs a strong aerial cross counter, hitting the dwarf mid-air. Onlookers are left in awe as they witness Cross not only countering, yet employing magic abilities. Cross is forced to heal the dwarf, who now demands urgent recovery after the ferocious battle. Despite his wounds, Dwarf praises Cross's skill and invites him for a rematch, astonished by the battle. Cross, recognizing the thrill of combat, is resolved to make his upcoming fights more enjoyable. Elsewhere, a Mysterious observes Cross's battle and is intrigued, predicting his promised usefulness for someone named Gimlet. Woman dressed provocatively walks boldly, hinting that her master Gimlet would be pleased with Cross's abilities. Cross defeats 10 opponents in a row, stunning everyone. His skill and strength are undeniable. Cross is observed by mysterious figures, astonished by his becoming combat abilities and eagerness for combat. The women consider Cross, observing that urging him in battle will be beneficial for his development. The women plan around Cross, dismissing a threat and preparing him for more ferocious training. Cross reaches a 13-win streak, exhausted yet resolved, prepared for a much-required break afterward. After a difficult battle, Cross and others are rewarded with food and recovery potions for their attempts. Cross surprises everyone, showing that he has mastered a recovery skill, stunning the others. Cross performs the skill, recovery a wounded ally, despite Giselle's concerns about its direct touch. Cross boldly tells the team he can heal even broken bones, impressing everyone with his abilities. The team decides that Cross should practice his recovery abilities, even if it causes bewilderment. Cross heals Giselle during a break from combat. She appreciates his service and gets back into the battle. The royal court applauds Cross and Giselle's excellent teamwork, seeing their strength despite being newcomers. The noblewoman praises Cross for his abilities, remarking that his arcane abilities are unmatched by others. Cross introduces himself to the nobles, encountering Rihanna Moblina, the eldest daughter of a strong faction. Cross and his team realize that the noble visitors, Rihanna and Gadruk, are heirs to strong domains. Rihanna Moblina invites Cross and his friends to join her faction, appealing to their promise. Gadruk and Rihanna debate over which faction Cross should join, both eager to recruit him. Cross thinks on how the nobles' attention might restore the orphanage's honor, yet dreads about meeting. Rihanna insists meeting her faction is essential for their futures, yet Cross is uncertain of the decision. Giselle, annoyed, shows her rage at Cataleya's party, defending Cross's team against their insults. The three king powers, divided into factions, are led by descendants of the hero's party. Rihanna encourages Cross to join her faction for security, yet he prefers not to be used. Giselle plans to convince Cross to join her faction, hoping to improve the orphanage's prospects. Disgruntled, Rihanna responds to the aura of a notable figure, while Cross spots the crowd's pressure. A pleased noble, Gimlet Wald Rhea from the Disgrave family, makes his striking entrance at the event. Cross and Giselle look at Gimlet Wald Rhea, the Disgrave family's fourth son, and wonder about his background. The team is astonished to see a high-ranking noble, possibly related to the Duke's family. Gimlet approaches Cross, difficult if he's the classless who beaten the strong noble, Cataleya. Gimlet, in a bold maneuver, requests Cross if he would be willing to join his faction. Gimlet shows that despite his grudge for defeating his cousin, he holds Cross in high regard. Lord Gimlet Wald Rhea, a high-ranking noble, surprises others by personally recruiting commoners for his faction. Despite Cross's reluctance, Gimlet continues speaking to him, disregarding interruptions from his companions, including Giselle. Cross is conflicted, ripped between meeting the faction yet uncertain about Gimlet's treatment of Giselle. Cross thinks on his reluctance to join, thinking about Gimlet's behavior and the strain to decide. Gimlet assures Cross, pledging that meeting his faction will distance him from Cataleya's influence, easing his dreads. Gimlet offers to make Cataleya publicly bow, hoping it will appease Cross' reluctance to join. Cross, puzzled and concerned, questions Gimlet's proposal and the notion of punishing Cataleya for him. Cross refuses to become Gimlet's subordinate, expressing his strong resistance to meeting under such conditions. The audience is shocked by Cross' bold rejection of a high-ranking noble's offer right in front. Cross quietly describes his refusal to join, suggesting a match for a more secure agreement. Gimlet receives Cross's decision to refuse his offer and hints at one last thing to say. Gimlet expresses his hope that Cross won't regret turning down his offer, getting closer to him. Gimlet gives Cross a chance to shift his spirit, offering a place for prospects discussions. Cross, still uncertain, thinks on his encounter with Gimlet while preparing for the next day's tournament. Cross, exhausted and overcome by the fights, sits down during the combat festival, acknowledging his defeat. Aaron is seen badly hurt, asking for assist, showing that the orphans are in danger. Giselle and others are hurt too, as they consider being attacked unexpectedly, fearing for their lives. Cross discovers that a black-haired woman, a member of Gimlet's faction, led the quick hit. Cross wonders why they attacked the orphans, while Giselle offers him recovery medicine in distress. Cross, recognizing the severity of the circumstances, moves after Giselle as she labors to restore. Giselle obeys closely, concerned about the circumstances as Cross repeats his impulsive moves. Cross rushes forward as Giselle and others shout, concerned about his reckless behavior, running towards danger. Giselle scolds Cross for his impulsive moves, reminding him that running without proof only causes trouble. Cross stands before a large building, resolved to uncover the truth, yet unmindful of the dangers. Guard confronts Cross, demanding identification, blocking his way to investigate, yet Cross's decision stands firm. Cross evades a direct hit, calculating his next maneuver, aware that his resistance could lead to consequences. Cross storms into the large room, facing a well-dressed nobleman, defiant in front of the gathered audience. Cross confronts armed guards, his fury intensifying as he yells to defend his moves with certainty. Cross responds attacks, barely avoiding hits as he skillfully evades the guards' attempts to restrain him. Cross continues to battle back, creating a commotion as he knocks away another foe. Cross dares the noble with bold words, demanding a one-on-one match, defying the noble's authority. Cross dares Gimlet with a high-stakes match, offering to do whatever he requests if he loses. Cross stands boldly, demanding Gimlet become his subordinate, throwing down a test that shocks the nobles. Nobles gasp as they witness the audacity of Cross' difficult Gimlet, the heir of a duke. Cross insists despite the absurdity of the circumstances, knowing this may be his only option. Gimlet receives the test, mocking Cross, knowing the strength dynamic is vastly tilted in his favor. Cross demands a match, and Gimlet decides, intrigued by Cross's nerve, setting the stage. Cross readies, knowing the odds are against him, yet insists on the fairness of the match. Gimlet shows his true strength, showing Cross that he's a highly skilled level 50 swordsman. Despite Gimlet's boastful words, Cross is resolved, yet the overwhelming odds cause him to hesitate. After a stunning display of strength, Cross is thrown aside, cursing Gimlet for his arrogance. Giselle is furious at Cross for difficult such a strong noble, while suffering from injuries. Cross apologizes for his rash moves, yet Giselle is concerned about the consequences of his test. Cross, although facing enormous odds, swears to push through for the sake of his satisfaction. Resolved, Cross pledges to continue despite the test forward, with Giselle supporting him emotionally. A new character observes, criticizing Cross's moves, calling his test reckless and thoughtless. Cross gets scolded for not assessing his opponent's strength before offering life and danger stakes in the match. Cross is reminded to be more cautious and concentrate on survival, just like past experiences. Despite the scolding, the others acknowledge Cross's decision, showing faith in his prospect's development. The training starts, with encouragement from his mentors to improve for the upcoming match test. Cross expresses gratitude toward his mentors, acknowledging his immaturity and pledging to do his best. The three mentors consider the circumstances, showing concern over Cross's hasty decision to test a noble. The mentors feel conflicted about Cross's match, yet acknowledge that his development is necessary. Cross's development rate for abilities is analyzed, with his intermediate abilities showing slower development than expected. Despite his current frailty, Cross's mentors concern that 10 days is too brief for him to improve. The team discusses the duel's logistics, knowing that delaying the match could cast doubt on its legitimacy. The mentors agree to discover a way to delay the match, hoping for a chance to train. The mentors joke about creating a big incident to delay the match, leveraging a nearby forest. The mentors continue their plan to delay the match, eager by their scheming under the moonlight. Cross bursts into the room excitedly, shouting that the match has been postponed, making the mentors anxious. A document describes the temporary closure of the school due to a major road collapse, offering a chance to delay the match. With the school closure, Cross realizes he has plenty of time for intensive training. Giselle quips about the closure, while the others remark on the dangerous abyssal sea of trees. Cross, furious, yells for the culprits who orchestrated the accident that delayed the match. Cross is carried away by his teacher while arguing about the legitimacy of the road collapse. The teachers consider the wreckage of the collapse, acknowledging it's a fortunate accident for their training. Cross is puzzled by his teacher's cryptic comments yet decides to concentrate on his training for now. Cross and his teacher start the ferocious training for the upcoming match against a high-ranked foe. One of the teachers enthusiastically proposes employing strong recovery magic for a war of attrition. Teacher with a big smile advises Cross on how to approach strong enemies, making him anxious. Cross wonders about attacking an opponent's frail points as his teacher hints at more higher-level tactics. The team is stopped by a huge bird diving toward them, catching everyone off guard. Cross identifies the beast as a gigantofalcon, a level 40 specialized soaring beast. The Dark Priest teacher casts a spell, employing speed down burst to gradual the giant bird. Cross and the others respond in surprise as the strong bird still rushes forward, undeterred. Cross improves his weapon and bodily abilities in preparation, uneasily agreeing to finish off the beast. Cross discovers that lowering an enemy's abilities can assist him beat even high-level monsters. Cross is caught off guard when his teacher gives him an unforeseen and awkward training session. Cross protests, yet his teachers insist on urging him to train and manage everything himself. The teacher gives Cross a countermeasure against the quick-flash swordsman and encourages him to train hard. Cross rehearses with his sword, eager to improve, yet his approach causes an unforeseen blast. The blast proves the effectiveness of Cross's training, demonstrating how lowering the enemy's abilities works. Cross, surprised, receives an unforeseen session, creating a wild yet amusing scene during training. Cross pauses yet obeys his teacher's instructions, prepared to improve his sword abilities with accuracy. Cross starts training for a new skill, although he's uncertain, wondering if this is really necessary. Lyudmila helps Cross concentrate, guiding him to activate the recovery magic while urging his effort. Cross feels overcome as he labors to order the magic, almost at his limit. With ferocious concentration, Cross barely manages to activate the recovery spell, restoring his energy. Cross breathes hard after the ferocious training match, feeling a rush of relief from the recovery. Lyudmila describes the limitations of the magic and shows their goal advancing the skill's moment for combat. Cross labors with the feeling of magic endurance yet must adjust to it for his training. A giant falcon appears, drawing attention. Its speed and strength are overwhelming, alarming Cross. Cross readies for a battle, facing the monstrous beast and its intimidating speed and strength. Cross uses the speed down spell to gradual the giant creature's motion, giving him an edge. The beast rushes, yet Cross steels himself, focusing on his speed and preparing to face it head-on. Cross continues his training, yet there's a mysterious feeling in the air as he wonders. The team debates over finding the best training location, with Cross wondering about the mysterious hole. Cross is taken away by a quick shift in the plan as Lyudmila borrows him. Carrying a large pack, Cross ponders the strange absence of monsters as he continues his journey. Abruptly, a huge black dragon appears before them, hitting terror into Cross and showing its enormous strength. The black dragon roars fiercely, baring its frightening teeth, preparing for a destructive hit. Cross labors to break free, recognizing that the overwhelming strength of the dragon might be too much. Desperate, Cross decides to jump, employing the forest as cover to break free the dragon's pursuit. The black dragon chases Cross relentlessly, creating harm as it flies above him through the trees. As Cross tries to climb a cliff to break free, the dragon's hit splits the ground beneath him. A beast, sensing a human child nearby, confronts the child, suspecting they've gotten lost in the area. Women who are observing the beast applaud as Cross properly captures the beast, praising his abilities. Beast screams in surprise as more figures appear on the horizon, seemingly to confront it. A ferocious horned woman demon rushes forward, difficult whether the lost child was part of a trap. Team of women finds the mysterious child, recognizing she's the one known as the Black Dragon. The Black Dragon, responding to Cross's bewilderment, describes that she is not an imitation demon. She announces herself as Salte Bisquadia, the true demon king who controls all the monsters. Cross, shocked by Salte's claim as the demon king, is praised for his respectful attitude towards her. Cross and the team learn of the original demon king, a frightening might against humanity. Salte furiously confronts the team, blaming humans for not delivering a fatal hit to the previous demon king. After the dispute, Cross and the team ask who Salte is, eager to grasp the circumstances. Process of how the strongest beast, or race, becomes the demon king after the previous one dies. The team describes Salte's single twisted horn, indicating her special status as a demon king. They consider how the state and guild monitor Salte, securing she doesn't act recklessly. Salte furiously defends herself, difficult the team for belittling her strength, demonstrating her strength. Salte releases a strong hit, the world's beginning demolishing tusk, creating huge harm around her. Cross is thrown by the might of the hit, barely managing to avoid being crushed. Cross labors to regain calm after Salte's hit, visibly hurt and in agony from the blast. The team surveys the huge crater left behind, shocked by the harm caused by Salte. Salte mockingly chuckles at Cross and the team, warning them that underestimating her has consequences. The team readies to face the threat with strong magic and abilities like Supreme Ice Prison. The ground shakes as a strong destructive hit bursts, unleashing a huge wave of devastation. The huge harm caused by Salte's strength is visible, leaving a major scarred landscape behind. Cross, shocked and trembling, realizes the true extent of the Demon King's strength after witnessing the chaos. The team discusses how a Demon King can be manipulated by sweets, likening Salte to a pet. The team confesses that despite Salte's one horn, her strength as a Demon King stays undeniable. They arrive at a mysterious hole, which is deemed ideal for Cross's upcoming training. Cross is tasked with conquering a dungeon alone, preparing for his next stage of training. The dungeon is described as dangerous, filled with endless monsters unless the dungeon core is destroyed. Cross is informed that solo expeditions are forbidden, so the training involves a dangerous approach. Cross is told no hit magic is allowed in the dungeon, only melee and black magic abilities. Cross encounters a strong beast as he proceeds, his training proving difficult with monsters at level 30. Cross uses his intermediate weapon enhancement skill to gradual down the beast, hitting it with accuracy. As more monsters approach, Cross readies for the test, employing his quick reflexes to defend himself. Cross properly defeats several monsters without hit magic, feeling more assured about his development. After defeating many monsters, Cross is astonished to discover a strange object in the dungeon. The object starts to maneuver ominously, and Cross responds with surprise as it approaches him. Cross is attacked by the mysterious object, which whaps him repeatedly, catching him off guard. After being struck, Cross labors with the agony, recognizing the object's strength as he moves. Cross confronts a strange furry beast with sharp fangs, feeling anxious as it approaches. The beast is identified as a springhopper, a dangerous high-level speed-attentive beast. Cross is overcome by the springhopper's amazing speed, recognizing just how rapid it really is. Cross uses speed down to counter the springhopper's rapid motions, making it an ideal training partner. Cross's status screen shows his remarkable development, showing his abilities in various areas like combat and magic. Cross, annoyed by the test of employing the speed debuff properly, receives encouragement from Telemea. Telemea describes that employing weakening abilities like speed debuff requires hitting the enemy, which is difficult. A humorous page shows how few others select the Dark Priest class due to its drawbacks. Cross is informed by Telemea that she has taught him a trick to manage black magic abilities. Cross is urged to remember a previous session with Telemea, which was important for his training. Cross, now completing his magic transfer training, realizes it's time to test his new abilities. Cross appreciates Telemea for her assist, feeling prepared to face the dares forward with new abilities. Cross encounters another beast, a spring hopper in the dungeon, recognizing this will be another test. Cross confronts Telemea, who smiles seductively while mocking him, hinting mysterious plan or test forward. A strange round beast appears, its menacing motions showing it is prepared to hit. Cross readies to face the beast with an hit, invoking a strong and mysterious approach. In a striking scene, Cross labors as his weapon clashes, and the beast moves swiftly. Later, Cross sits down for a chess match, trying to calm himself after the battle. Cross, having played a difficult game, confronts a assured foe who's prepared for the test. In the middle of a tense chess match, Cross labors to maneuver while being sidetracked. A strange, menacing beast rushes toward him, while Cross ponders its strength and speed. The beast hurls a rapid hit, yet Cross gets prepared to intercept it despite the odds. Just as the beast advances, Cross triggers his evasive approach to gradual it down. Cross readies for the next hit, focusing on predicting the moment and intercepting the beast. Cross labors against the ferocious strain of the battle, employing emergency evasion and body hardening. Cross confronts several attacks, yet thinks on how strength also includes employing underhanded tactics effectively. The conversation continues as they consider how good others tend to hurt their own success. Cross realizes the value of understanding the enemy's behavior and tactics to overcome dares. With a sharp maneuver, Cross responds the creature's speed, performing a skillful and final hit. Cross feels conflicted as he confronts a beast, yet a small voice encourages him to embrace darker tactics. Cross, enhancing his sword skill, readies for a critical hit while reflecting on his approach. Exhausted yet resolved, Cross continues his battle, grinning triumphantly as he starts to grasp his abilities. Cross, having mastered his approach, rejoices his victory yet stays aware of the cost of his tactics. As he thinks on his journey, Cross's past labors at the orphanage shape his resolved spirit. Telomera is resolved to keep Cross to herself as they prepared for another test. Cross fights through exhaustion while his team provides support, each employing their abilities to aid him. After 2 weeks of brutal training, Cross is visibly drained, yet he continues to push forward. Cross continues his arduous journey, climbing stairs lined with fallen creatures, his determination unwavering despite the fatigue. Upon reaching a mysterious chamber, Cross finds a glowing orb, signaling the next phase of his journey. Cross finds an orb in the dungeon, shocked by its value in his journey's development. Telomera hugs Cross, praising his success, yet his exhausted state makes him anxious and astonished. Cross conquers the dungeon quicker than expected, with Telomera praising his unforeseen development and abilities. A skill development screen shows Cross's swift development, his abilities becoming exponentially during his journey. Telomera congratulates Cross for completing his training's second step, observing his advancement into an elite class. Telomera announces the start of Cross's final training stage, exciting him yet also creating bewilderment. A bright light emanates from the orb, creating a ferocious atmosphere as both respond in surprise. Cross confronts a daunting trial, Telomera encourages him, yet he's uncertain about the mysterious phenomenon. A huge dungeon boss is created, catching both off guard and signaling a true test for Cross. Cross confronts the Spring Fighter, a strong level 42 beast, knowing it's his final test. Cross readies for the battle, urging his boundaries, resolved to use everything he has to win. As the battle intensifies, Cross is astonished by the creature's unforeseen strength and quickness. The monster's speed overwhelms Cross, making him struggle to even land a hit on it. Recognizing the monster's amazing speed, Cross wonders how he can overcome the overwhelming test forward. Cross summons all his energy and tries a strong maneuver to counter the overwhelming beast. Cross dreads the monster's strong hit, recognizing it could kill him in an instant. Telomera stops the battle just in time, preventing Cross from facing certain danger. Cross labors as the strong beast fights back, his attempts seemingly futile against its strength. Cross is left in surprise after barely escaping the monster's hit. Recognizing the battle isn't easy, Cross freaks, recognizing the monster's speed and strength are overwhelming, leaving no room for tricks. Telomera shows the final stage of Cross's training, aimed at mastering to hit first against a harder foe. Cross discovers that the recovery abilities he has prepared in are vital for facing harder enemies, forming the basis of his next steps. Telomera unveils a dangerous skill from an ancient race that involves blood manipulation, raising Cross's concern. Cross feels anxious as Telomera introduces a strong new skill, leaving him with uneasy thoughts. Telomera quips with Cross about an off-board tactic, cheerfully suggesting he could retaliate with a similar maneuver. Cross, feeling anxious, wins his first chess match and excitedly shouts Ryan and Lyudmila to celebrate. Cross confronts a difficult test, the dungeon, encountering an overwhelming foe, No Life King's danger skill. Telomera describes a dangerous tactic Cross needs to learn, designed to weaken opponents drastically. Cross discovers the dark magic skill that makes the enemy's hit lethal for the user. Cross is appalled, recognizing the risks of employing such a tactic and how it works. Cross realizes his recovery abilities are vital to endure, making him aware of his weaknesses. Telomera describes that her race has high recovery abilities, making them resilient to mortal injuries. Cross labors with the notion of taking a hit, as Telomera encourages him to practice it. Cross realizes he must not rely on his instincts, yet on calculated tactics in battle. Cross, now overcome, questions his decisions as he confronts Telomera, who observes quietly, waiting. Cross continues his severe training, panting hard, while Telomera observes from afar, difficult his development. Saltia quips with Cross about his labors with the dungeon boss, and questions if his training helped. Cross, feeling exhausted from relentless fights, confesses that the others are out of town, leaving him alone. Saltia presses Cross about his isolation, smirking, suggesting that he's now completely alone without his masters. Cross uneasily realizes that Saltia sees his vulnerability, and she seems pleased by his predicament. Cross, now exhausted and on high alert, realizes Saltia has been watching him closely from afar. Saltia, now in an aggressive stance, quips with Cross and boasts about her strength over him. Cross, struggling in a difficult spot, dreads the consequences of his defeat as Saltia ridicules him. Saltia, now furious, shows her true identity as the Demon King, showing her ruthless spirit. Cross, recognizing the misunderstanding, uneasily tries to explain as Saltia gets more furious and destructive. Saltia continues her hit with unrestrained fury, while Cross dreads the wrath of his master. Saltia shows the threat of the Demon King's succession, warning that Cross can't afford her danger. Cross, recognizing the gravity of the circumstances, starts understanding Saltia's dangerous role in this world. Saltia eventually shows her true frightening spirit as she readies to unleash her destructive strength. Cross confronts Saltia's wrath, trying to defend himself against her overwhelming strength and rage. In a climactic scene, Saltia releases a frightening fiery blast, proving her might as the Demon King. Cross realizes the imminent danger as Saltia readies for another hit, and he steadies for collision. Cross is tossed around by the mighty hit, feeling hopeless as he is overpowered. Saltia shows her dangerous intent, speaking about sending all humans to the other side, mocking Cross. With determination, Cross gathers his determination, thinking about the others who depend on him. A flash of recollections inspires Cross to keep combat, recognizing he can't die and must defend. Cross, with sheer determination, makes a graceful jump to avoid Saltia's huge hit, knowing the risks. Cross, gritting his teeth, understands that true determination, beyond courage, is necessary to endure this battle. Cross fiercely decides to battle, thinking that his survival is the key to saving everyone. With a burst of energy, Cross rushes at Saltia, vowing to battle even if it means danger. Saltia, caught off guard by Cross's determination, stumbles as the hit lands, screaming in agony. Saltia questions if her performance as a Demon King is sufficient, showing her tactical approach. Saltia picks up her partner, congratulating him and showing gratitude for his effort in the training. Cross is puzzled and overcome, recognizing something unforeseen has just happened, uncertain of the outcome. Cross responds to Saltia's unforeseen shift in behavior, difficult if everything had been an act. Saltia shows the truth, explaining she had a hidden plan all along to motivate Cross further. Cross, caught off guard, is reminded by Saltia of his true reason to defend others. Saltia apologizes, admitting her drastic approach was meant to overcome Cross's fear for others' sake. Cross thinks on his original goal, becoming an adventurer who could defend those important to him. Cross promises to try harder, thankful for the session, and prepared to face his dares. A week later, Cross confronts a new test, preparing for a sincere confrontation forward. Cross, reflecting on his healed wounds and remaining magic, readies for the battle. With renewed determination, Cross announces that today will be the day he wins. In the heat of the battle, Cross is hurt badly, as spikes pierce through his body. Bleeding and battered, Cross grips his hurt arm, still resolved to push through the agony. Despite the agony, Cross uses his determination to land a hit that breaks his opponent's speed. Cross, exhausted and hurt, fights against the monsters, while the dungeon's boss observes from a distance. Cross spots the enemy's quick motions, recognizing that several creatures are converging on him. As the creatures hit, Cross barely evades them, employing his bodily enhancements to break free the danger. Wounded, Cross labors to battle off the creatures, yet he stays resolved to push forward. Elsewhere, the demon girls consider their plans, showing that the match date has been set. Despite the defeat of his foe, Cross is resolved to continue forward, persuaded he can do it. Cross's development is evaluated, yet he's still uncertain whether his abilities are enough to prevail. The demon girls doubt his preparation, yet Cross resolves to keep urging himself for the upcoming match. Resolved, Cross stands before the ring, prepared to face whatever comes next in the battle. The ring stands tall, filled with anticipation as the match day approaches, setting the stage. City's walls start to shake as harm is imminent, with enemies breaking through and creating chaos. The soldiers alarm, recognizing that a high-level beast, previously thought to be distant, has arrived. Killer Tiger rampages through the streets, frightening the citizens and overpowering everyone in its route. The soldiers are helpless against the beast's speed, struggling to mount any protection against its onslaught. A noble observes the disaster unfold, annoyed with the inability to stop the beast's fury. A nobleman improves his speed and stops the killer tiger in its tracks with a swift punch. The noble confesses the tiger's strength, preparing to participate with even more higher-level techniques. The noble, with amazing speed, fires a flurry of swift attacks, overwhelming the killer tiger. The noble stays calm, knowing his strength is enough to deal with the huge beast. After effortlessly defeating the tiger, the noble walks away, directing the reconstruction attempts to continue. Cross' remarkable strength has shocked everyone. He's swiftly earning recognition for his extraordinary feats. Elsewhere, a team wonders whether Cross will be fine as they travel, concerned for his well-being. Alicia, a high-ranking individual, arrives back and wonders about the noise, unmindful of Cross' collision. Alicia relaxes in her room, reflecting on Cross as she ponders his activities and prospects. As the match approaches, Alicia, still thinking of Cross, engages in conversation, showing the anticipation building up. Others are buzzing about Cross Elcardi, who has earned attention for his test to Duke Waldera's family. Alicia, still thinking about Cross, labors with her feelings while wondering about his upcoming match. 3 days later, Alicia gazes at the ring, wondering if Cross is prepared for the battle. Cross thinks on his arrangements for the match, acknowledging the test forward yet remaining resolute. As Cross joins the ring, the audience bursts in delight, with the battle about to start. Cross steps into the ring, and the audience observes intently. One person places a bet on him. The audience encourages Cross, urging him to stay strong in the battle forward. Cross looks around, persuaded his masters have come to applaud him on, despite the crowd's energy. Alicia's foe greets him with a mocking tone, remarking that Cross made it without running. Both opponents, Alicia and Cross, deciding to leave their grudges behind and concentrate on the match. The match starts, and the terms are announced. Cross is resolved, swearing not to lose. Cross is shocked by the terms of the match. He must serve a noble. The match organizer describes that the punishment will not be too severe, yet still significant. Cross is astonished at the leniency of the penalty, wondering if it's meant to teach respect. Cross is shocked as the match terms are finalized. He must serve the local nobility. The onlookers, puzzled by the noble's decisions, concerned that the factions will mock Cross's faction. As rumors circulate about the Sildra family's moves, others speculate about the consequences for Cross. The noble shows disrupting information about his behavior, hinting at dark, twisted moves involving youth. Cross is afraid of the consequences if he loses, fearing being controlled by a perverted aristocrat. Mysterious figures consider the upcoming match, sensing that a disastrous outcome is inevitable for Cross. A mysterious team considers the promise of Cross losing the match, pondering the consequences for him. Concerned for Cross's safety, one character cautions that someone might perish due to the match. Cross steels himself, reaffirming his determination to win despite the overwhelming odds he confronts. The noble ridicules Cross's reason, yet arrangements are made as both opponents get prepared to battle. The match starts, and the pressure builds as both Cross and his foe make their moves. Cross labors to gain traction as his opponent's speed takes him off guard, making him stumble. His foe, assured and mocking, taunts Cross, offering him a chance to initiate his maneuver. Cross contemplates the circumstances, recognizing that waiting passively will only lead to his defeat. In a flash of determination, Cross triggers his bodily enhancements, gearing up for an aggressive hit. However, his foe swiftly responds, acknowledging Cross's new strength, although still managing to maintain an edge. Cross releases and hit, yet his foe stays calm, observing his surprising special abilities despite being classless. Cross labors as his foe confesses his development, yet swiftly overpowers him with a swift counter. His foe ridicules him, highlighting the major gap between their training, leaving Cross annoyed yet resolved. Cross, refusing to back down, triggers a special hit, hoping to break his opponent's dominance. However, his foe effortlessly evades the hit, calling Cross's maneuver as too gradual to matter. Cross fires a quick hit, yet his foe stays calm and spots his becoming abilities. Cross thinks on his tactic, recognizing his plan isn't fully developed, and readies for more adjustments. The foe taunts, pointing out Cross's absence of preparation, even as Cross labors to gain ground. Resolved, Cross triggers a strong capacity to shift the odds in his favor, arranging to hit. The foe swiftly responds, demonstrating his overwhelming skill and commenting on Cross's limited capacity to keep up. Cross rushes towards his foe with overwhelming speed, trying to hit yet is met with a ferocious counter. His speed surprises the audience, yet Cross swiftly adjusts, focusing on his next hit tactic. With ferocious determination, Cross leaps into the air, trying to break through his opponent's defenses. Cross releases destructive maneuver, triple wind lance, creating storm of strong hits aimed at his foe. His foe, unimpressed, easily evades the hit with grace, demonstrating superior abilities and order. Cross labors under the ferocious strain of his opponent's onslaught, with the audience urging him on. Cross, battered and bruised, stands defiant, surrounded by the taunts of his foe and the audience. The noble, mocking his foe, prolongs the suffering by refusing to end the match swiftly. A destructive hit lands, piercing Cross's body as he labors, yet his determination still holds firm. The noble roars in victory as he hits the final hit, laughing triumphantly over Cross's defeat. Cross is severely hurt, his right arm shattered, as his foe smirks, watching him struggle. The noble taunts Cross, relishing the agony he's caused, and plans his next hit. Cross, with desperation, releases his delayed magic skill, preparing for a final hit to endure. The noble is caught off guard as Cross uses magic to gradual him down, buying time. The noble is shocked, stumbling as Cross's hit connects, his superiority threatened for the first time. Cross, hard hurt, spots the noble's hit didn't cause harm, despite the collision and might. The noble, annoyed by the absence of harm, realizes Cross used speed reduction magic on him. Cross, struggling yet resolved, wonders how he earned such higher-level abilities, including strong debilitating magic. The noble freaks, recognizing Cross is employing a highly higher-level form of magic he doesn't grasp. Cross triggers his magic stalker capacity, which shocks the noble, who now confronts a dangerous foe. Despite ferocious agony, Cross continues his battle, his body damaged yet his determination unbroken. The noble, shocked, realizes that Cross triggered 3 abilities beforehand, creating him to struggle. Cross, recalling his training, uses magic to extend spell activation time, catching the noble off guard. Cross discovers and masters strong self-recovery and agony reduction abilities, allowing him to battle without boundaries. With his new abilities, Cross is prepared to battle without fear of injury or agony. Cross, seemingly unaffected by agony, fights relentlessly while the onlookers are shocked by his surprising strength. The noble, struggling to comprehend, identifies that Cross is employing a rare and dangerous class. Cross shows his Dark Priest abilities, stunning the noble as he readies to use them. Cross manages to battle back employing his speed reduction skill, leaving the audience shocked by his unforeseen strength. Cross smiles through his agony as his wounds heal right before everyone's eyes, further stunning his foe. The audience is left puzzled as they realize Cross is defying logic and predictions by recovery swiftly. Gimlet tries to land a finishing hit, only to realize Cross had been arranging this. Cross thinks on how he manipulated his foe to cover up his tactic. Cross uses physical enhancement skill, boosting his strength, preparing for a final hit on Gimlet. Cross releases his strength with a battle cry, charging forward, resolved to overpower Gimlet. Cross rushes at Gimlet with enormous speed, catching him off guard in a swift hit. Despite the speed reduction, Gimlet continues to dodge Cross's unceasing attacks, utilizing his speed skillfully. After being hit by Cross's speed reduction, Gimlet skillfully evades, showcasing his superior speed and reflexes. Cross can now monitor Gimlet's motions with his eyes, preparing for the next maneuver. Cross labors as he realizes Gimlet's superior speed, arranging his next step cautiously. Gimlet readies to wear Cross down, employing his special abilities and targeting his frail points. Both battle intensely as Cross confronts Gimlet's curse, uncertain of what to hit next. In an essential scene, Cross rushes at Gimlet, resolved to continue despite the overwhelming odds. Cross creates 2 chances in quick succession, seizing the opportunity to hit back at Gimlet. Gimlet decides to take drastic action, arranging to crush both opportunities before they cause harm. Gimlet responds with a low kick, believing that even the slightest injury will hinder Cross. The strength of the low kick surprises Cross, proving to be more effective than expected. Gimlet labors as he confronts one more critical hit from Cross, sensing defeat closing in. Cross fires his hit, preparing to use Eternal Despair, yet is out of range for speed down. Recognizing his speed is still lacking, Cross triggers an intermediate black magic skill in desperation. A burst of speed down causes chaos, as Cross realizes it's not the same as speed down break. Gimlet labors to maneuver as the speed down burst reduces his motion, and he questions Cross's abilities. Rion describes the origin and effectiveness of the speed down burst, which improves range over strength. Cross rushes with a strong hit, triggering an emergency withdrawal and boosting his speed for a quick retreat. With a burst of physical enhancement, Cross moves smoothly and gracefully, as if soaring through the air. The scene intensifies as Cross leaps gracefully toward his foe, both warriors about to clash. A huge blast occurs as Cross engages his foe, throwing dirt and rubble into the air. The audience responds with surprise and awe, witnessing Cross Alucard's unforeseen victory and amazing abilities. Cross confesses that Gimlet has superior speed and strength, yet he's resolved to discover a way. Both warriors are evenly matched, with Cross now defying Gimlet's predictions in the battle. Cross questions how they are even matched, asserting that a little gradual down doesn't make him equal. Gimlet passionately announces that defeating difficult opponents, not relying on abilities alone, makes a true warrior. The two warriors participate in a final clash, their swords clashing with explosive severity. Cross and Gimlet face each other in a ferocious standoff, both filled with ferocious determination. Cross relentlessly rushes toward Gimlet, taking every opportunity to hit, resolved to overcome him. Gimlet tries to warn Cross, yet his unceasing hit pushes him into an explosive counterstrike. The battle intensifies as both combatants share strong moves, neither showing any sign of giving up. Both fighters continue their ferocious battle, driven by their unyielding will and the satisfaction they hold. The audience applauds wildly as Cross and Gimlet participate in a ferocious, skillful sword clash. Sparks fly as their swords clash with ferocious strength, showing the ferocious energy of battle. Cross and Gimlet, both resolved, recognize this scene as the true test of their abilities. Cross and his foe Gimlet are locked in a ferocious battle, both showing determination. The battle is ferocious, yet appreciates to Cross's weakening abilities. Gimlet is now on equal footing. Gimlet, refusing to lose, triggers his enhancements, preparing for an even more strong attacking hit. Cross barely avoids Gimlet's boosted hit, recognizing the dangers of underestimating his opponent's abilities. Gimlet swiftly counterattacks with a blitz enhancement, yet Cross uses emergency evasion to barely break free. Cross confronts a strong special maneuver that beaten a risk level 5 adventurer in an instant. Gimlet releases his flurry of 100 movements, yet Cross barely manages to hold on. Cross readies to mimic the enemy's signature maneuver, resolved to learn from his opponent's strength. The sheer might of the maneuver turns the forest into powder, showing the enormous strength. Cross, exhausted, labors to hold up against the overwhelming might, reflecting on Ryon's approach. Cross readies himself, sharpening his concentrate to withstand the enemy's onslaught with his abilities. He delivers his counter, performing the signature maneuver with ideal moment, creating waves to break out. Cross uses the intermediate cross counter, hitting with accuracy and determination against his foe. In a strong counter reversal, Cross turns the battle around, countering his opponent's hit perfectly. With a smirk, Cross shows his responds aren't exclusive to nobles, stunning the enemy in defeat. Cross and Gimlet participate in a ferocious battle, exchanging strong responds, leaving the audience astonished. Cross gets overcome by Gimlet's flurry of swift attacks, although still gripping on with determination. Gimlet, annoyed, confesses the difficulty of facing a melee fighter with the abilities of a dark priest. Despite slowing down Gimlet, Cross confronts the severe understanding of the overwhelming gap in strength. In a scene of defeat, Gimlet grapples with the knowledge that his magic can't defeat Cross. Cross, bruised and exhausted, confronts severe words from a foe, yet stays resolved despite the odds. A shocked Cross looks at his foe, recognizing the gap in skill and his labors. A friend shows Cross's foe is a level 50 swordsman, intensifying his dreads and doubts. Cross hears severe words about his absence of talent, yet he stays silent, resolved to press on. As Cross thinks, he understands the true spirit of his dares, recognizing the value of his friends. Cross, alone and weary, questions how he ended up in this struggle, his spirit in turmoil. He remembers Giselle's words, understanding her plans to defend him by forcing him to face reality. Understanding dawns on Cross that he was his own biggest obstacle, struggling with his self-doubt. As his inner conflict intensifies, Cross labors to rise, resolved not to fail in front of his friends. With renewed determination, Cross rushes forward, vowing not to disappoint the friends who believe in him. Cross uses his boosted cross counter, recalling his training, resolved to overcome the ferocious foe. Gimlet performs a counter reversal, mocking Cross, yet unmindful of his becoming strength and determination. Gimlet believes Cross is desperate, unmindful of the concentrate Cross earned through ferocious training. Cross remembers Ryon's lessons, recognizing the purpose of his struggle, to reach his full promise. Cross, with enormous determination, readies himself to repay his mentors, focusing all his strength. Gimlet continues to mock Cross, annoyed by his repeated attacks, underestimating Cross's true promise. Cross surprises Gimlet with his unforeseen strength. As Gimlet starts recognizing something's wrong with his attacks, Cross triggers his intermediate bodily increase, showing the strength from his training, leaving Gimlet shocked. Gimlet responds with a counter-reversal, yet Cross's recently earned strength allows him to counter back. Cross analyzes Gimlet's combat approach, understanding the flow of his magic and body motions. Gimlet is shocked by the repeated responds between them, as Cross keeps urging through. Cross fires another strong hit with ferocious concentrate, surprising Gimlet, who doesn't expect this response. Both fighters release their ultimate moves, their countering abilities escalating to erratic ranks, increasing the severity. Cross thinks on his struggle, recognizing he's becoming harder with each battle despite his frailty. With a final rush, Cross reaches new heights in his counter skill, leveling up tremendously. Gimlet's face shows surprise as he realizes Cross has reached an unforeseen strength level, overwhelming him. Gimlet is forced to retreat, overcome by Cross's unforeseen toughness and unceasing counterattacks, despite injuries. Cross, unyielding, keeps advancing. Gimlet's annoyance increases. Difficult how Cross's magic keeps flowing non-stop. Cross releases strong bodily increase, resolved to overcome his opponent's continued attacks with sheer might. Cross fights back fiercely, employing his higher-level techniques, increasing his skill ranks rapidly as battle progresses. With amazing speed, Cross performs a stunning aerial hit, his boosted strength catching his foe off guard. Cross initiates a strong wind spell from above, trying to finish the battle with a huge hit. Gimlet tries to intercept Cross's descent, preparing to hit while Cross descends with might. Cross releases his destructive triple wind lance, forcing Gimlet to retreat swiftly to avoid harm. Gimlet, in amazement, observes as Cross skillfully evades, mocking his hit and showing his assurance. The dirt cloud from Cross's wind magic envelops the ring, leaving Gimlet shocked and struggling. Cross Alcart releases a new spell, Wintry Wind of Twilight, stunning his foe with its strength. Cross's foe fires a forceful hit, intending to finish the battle with a lethal hit. Just before the hit, Cross shows a retaliation stance, surprising his foe with a swift response. The counter turnaround hits, leaving the foe shocked and unable to respond as Cross hits. The momentum of the retaliation builds, and Cross releases a final hit at lightning speed. Cross Alcart's foe attacks fiercely, yet the scene is stopped as an error occurs in the spell. Cross Alcart, furious, releases a arcane counter, expressing amazement at his opponent's failed attempt. His foe is struck hard, recognizing he's facing something far beyond his previous predictions. In an unforeseen turn, the foe roars in annoyance, unable to fathom being beaten by Cross. Cross finishes the battle within a ferocious and strong Aegis shot, releasing it with unmatched speed. Cross Alcart fires a strong hit, leaving rubble soaring as he gains the upper hand. The ferocious collision sends his foe soaring, yet Cross stays calm as he observes. Cross triggers a new spell, shrouded in energy, signaling a dangerous strength he releases. The audience is shocked as the life preservation ward triggers, signaling Cross's survival despite the ferocious battle. Cross emerges from the harm, gasping for air, yet he stands tall, despite the toll. Cross stands triumphant, gripping a weapon while recalling his reason for combat to defend others. The match ends with Cross as the winner, surprising everyone with his hard-fought victory. Cross is swarmed by his friends, who celebrate his triumph while expressing awe at his strength. His friends, overcome by the victory, can't believe Cross won against an upper noble. Giselle tries to hide her tears as she's teased by the others about her emotions. Giselle scolds Cross for his reckless combat, while he apologizes for making her concern. Cross proudly announces that his victory was for Giselle and everyone, showing his determination. Cross and Giselle share a fist bump, and the audience applauds for their victory. The scene moves to a calm scene as Cross is supported by a friend in the ring. In the infirmary, Cross rests after the battle while a friend greets him with commend. The girls applaud for Cross's victory, celebrating his upset win and the ease of their task. Cross gets pulled into a hug, yet Giselle's comment about sacrifices makes him concerned. Cross appreciates everyone for their support and promises to do anything he can in return. The team discusses their next plans, with some humor about Cross and his bath circumstances. Back in the royal palace, someone thinks on a victory, unmindful of an impending catastrophe. Gimlet, in amazement, cannot accept the reality and is filled with annoyance over the circumstances.
He tells the use of an assassin unit, desperate to determination the issue fiercely. His assistant protests, reminding him that the assassin unit should only be used for emergencies. Gimlet, disregarding the warnings, becomes increasingly frantic, prepared to use the assassins for bloodshed. Overcome by his circumstances, Gimlet questions his prospects, fearing the defeat of his noble status. Gimlet, laughing maniacally, plans to drag Cross Alucard down with him if he confronts Doom. The sound of boots echoes as a team of assassins, summoned by Gimlet, march forward. The assassins, cloaked and armed, prepared for their mission. Next, Gimlet tells without reluctance. The assassins are informed of the target's location, a secluded wooden building, for their mission. The assassins consider the high cost of Cross Alucard's training, astonished by his rise despite being classless. The assassins approach the building with caution, suspecting something off about Cross Alucard's spirit. Entering the room, the assassins spread out, sensing an eerie silence and preparing for action. One assassin is puzzled by the absence of signs of occupancy, difficult the circumstances further. As the team inspects the room, they discover a hidden staircase leading into an unknown space. The team cautiously descends into a dark, mysterious passage, feeling the weight of impending danger. The assassins approach a large mansion, puzzled by the dark, ominous sky and looming structure. The team senses 4 different presences, recognizing the mansion hides its true purpose beneath deception. They plan to split up, setting the tactic to eliminate higher-level classes in 3 teams. Entering the large chamber, the assassins maneuver swiftly, trying for their target with lethal intent. Reaching the target's room, they prepared to hit, cautiously moving closer to the sleeping figure. The assassins are shocked to discover knives stabbed into the bed, recognizing their target has escaped. A quick blast of freezing magic sends one assassin soaring, signaling strong protection mechanisms at play. The assassins scramble as they witness a mysterious strong figure controlling the ice magic effortlessly. Recognizing the source of the magic is close to, they spot the figure at the top of stairs. The strong figure demands answers, intimidating the assassins, difficult which noble house sent them. The attackers alarm as their attempt fails, recognizing the target was far more dangerous than anticipated. The magic freezes the leader's voice, halting communication as fear and bewilderment start to set in. The attackers' struggle intensifies as the magic overwhelms them, their limbs immobilized by the chilling strength. The leader's calm demeanor stands in contrast as she assures her allies, pledging recovery despite the agony. With a calculated smile, she offers a chance to reveal their secrets, yet survival is conditional. The assassins, annoyed by their failure, swiftly escalate, showing their willingness to speak after extreme strain. The poison takes effect as the attackers struggle, their bodies freezing from the strong substance. As the poison weakens them, their cries of agony only make their circumstances more dire. Despite the poison's effects, the calm woman shows their attempts are hopeless, mocking their inadequacy. The leader realizes something is wrong, his men remain motionless, and their plans seem doomed. Amid the night, chaos bursts as assassins are thrown into the air, surprised by unforeseen forces. The cause of the harm becomes clear as a furious figure regrets breaking the wall. A resolved woman, filled with rage, threatens to deal with her enemies during the day. The assailants realize they're facing a might far beyond their predictions. An alarm starts. Elsewhere, the protagonist wakes up, shocked by the overwhelming sounds, unmindful of the chaos beyond. A cold, chilling transformation occurs as ice structures emerge, trapping the assassins in a frozen grip. A concerned ally apologizes for their moves while trying to reassure everyone about the circumstances. As the reality sinks in, the team readies for more danger, mastering to use their abilities. The protagonist, reflecting, realizes that their masters expected this chaos, creating some internal doubts to rise. With new perspective, team is prepared for battle, difficult enemies' true motives behind the assault. The team of apprentices, now aware of their master's outrageous moves, readies to exact retribution. The protagonist, furious, realizes the assassins ran off with the progress payment, inciting his rage. Impatiently, he demands answers, annoyed by the gradual response of his subordinates, unmindful of danger. The protagonist is struck by a quick surprise, recognizing something has gone horribly wrong, and surprising him. He is fiercely thrown, struggling to comprehend the unforeseen hit and the betrayal that obeys. Duke Hamlet Waldry appears, bloodied and battered, showing his supreme class job, leaving the protagonist puzzled. The protagonist is shocked by his father's condition, struggling to grasp why he looks so ruined. Father aggressively questions the protagonist's moves, furious about the involvement of an assassination squad. Father continues his rant, blaming the protagonist for sending an assassination squad after dangerous adventurers.
In amazement, the protagonist stumbles upon a huge pile of assassins, all beaten in a heap. While the protagonist gathers his thoughts, a mysterious figure approaches, clearly aware of the situation's complexity. A strong rush of arcane energy bursts as the three women stand prepared for battle. The father kneels in shame, overcome by the violent might his son unleashed, begging. The protagonist realizes the dire circumstances as he is confronted by S-rank adventurers involved in this chaos. The protagonist gazes in amazement as he sees a pile of assassins, crushed and beaten. The protagonist labors, recognizing the assassin's lethal intent to torture him, urging him to his boundaries. Cross desperately tries to stop the escalating circumstances, recognizing the group's moves are spiraling out of order. Cross, despite his gratitude for their rage, expresses concern about the overreaction, feeling overcome. Cross argues that the hit was unforgivable, yet emphasizes the need for boundaries in retaliation. The team thinks on their moves, with Cross understanding the gravity of the circumstances and his role. Cross proposes a truce, seeing that continuing the battle will only lead to bad outcomes for everyone. Cross stops the chaos, telling the team that attacking a noble family goes too far. Cross, although overcome by the circumstances, is resolved to stop the conflict and discover peace. Cross shows understanding and offers forgiveness, surprising everyone with his gentleness in this tense scene. Cross, despite being a jobless individual, shocks Gimlet by proposing a calm settlement instead of vengeance. Gimlet, overcome by Cross's unimaginable mercy, is moved to tears, recognizing Cross's true strength and compassion. Gimlet is overcome by a strong feeling of loyalty and respect toward Cross, feeling ferocious emotions. The loyalty Gimlet feels is so strong it surpasses even that of the royal family. Cross's gentleness causes Gimlet to realize the truth of his moves, creating deep regret. Gimlet swears lifelong loyalty to Cross, acknowledging his mistake and vowing to follow him. Cross is puzzled by Gimlet's overwhelming emotions, unable to comprehend the depth of his devotion. Cross asserts his loyalty, creating Gimlet to feel deeply overcome and vow his allegiance to him. The women around Cross express their unease at the circumstances, uncertain of his influence over Gimlet. Despite the pressure, Cross insists on ending the conflict with a calm resolution, for the sake of all. Despite his internal labors, Cross continues to push forward, even as others express their doubts about his methods. The account continues with the building's harm, symbolizing the consequences of the moves. Cross is welcomed by the others as his new faction, a Lockhart, starts to rise in strength. Gimlet, resolved to prove his loyalty to Cross, demands that everyone respect him as their leader. Cross's influence over others becomes undeniable as others question the quick shift in strength dynamics. Some others are skeptical of Cross' transformation, thinking it might have been the surprise after his defeat. Despite the becoming influence, Cross's companions continue with their daily routine, mocking and urging him forward. Cross tries to stop the combat between his companions, while Gimlet labors with loyalty problems. Cross reluctantly receives the attention from others, hoping the orphans will have a better prospects. The girls consider how Cross's abilities have improved, with admiration for his quick development and strength. Cross's status record shows enormous development, which is puzzling to everyone around him. As Cross increases in strength and influence, those around him are left wondering about his development. Cross finds an unknown skill appearing in his status, creating bewilderment and curiosity about its strength. Cross finds a new error skill in his status screen, and curiosity about its effects. Cross's new error skill is revealed to combine several abilities, dramatically enhancing his abilities. The skill's spirit is explained. Cross's new error skill is an amalgamation of 8 increase abilities. Despite its gradual development, the new error skill is incredibly strong, surpassing other skills' promise. The discussion continues on how Cross's development might be unlimited, surpassing the boundaries of support abilities. Cross's prospects' development promise astounds everyone, leaving them in awe of his developing strength. The women consider how to make plans to gain Cross's attention and claim him. They strategize on helping Cross gain higher-level class abilities while managing the orphanage's well-being. Cross receives a large welcome at the celebration, labeling his victory with delight and applause. The party turns wild as the women debate, eager to celebrate and gain Cross's favor. Cross finds himself caught in a wild circumstances, surrounded by drunk and overly enthusiastic women. The women quarrel over Cross, showing their warmth, while he's caught in the middle. The next morning, Cross thinks on the wild events, recognizing he mastered valuable lessons from them. Cross feels overcome yet inspired by the attention and commend he receives for his new skill. Cross, trying to maintain calm, confronts an unforeseen turn of events as he's tracked down. Alicia appears before Cross, greeting him with a shy smile, starting curiosity and bewilderment in him. Cross is shocked and puzzled, uncertain of why Alicia has abruptly arrived before him. Alicia uneasily tries to ask Cross something important, creating a puzzled reaction from him. Cross is caught off guard as Alicia shows she's targeting something significant within the city. Alicia shows her plans, suggesting that she wants Cross to become her companion, startling him. Alicia describes that many adventurers aim to develop factions and make names for themselves. Cross is shocked as Alicia talks about how fame can lead to marrying beautiful others. Cross frantically rejects any interest in marrying Alicia, flustered by his thoughts and the circumstances. Cross insists it's all a misunderstanding, desperately trying to clear the bewilderment about his plans. Alicia seems unconvinced, continuing the conversation while Cross is still overcome by his own words. Cross feels strange ever since meeting Alicia, and he keeps thinking about weird things. Alicia realizes her misunderstanding, apologizing for asking such a weird question while Cross stays puzzled. Cross uneasily requests Alicia out for a food, and she walks away, astonished by the offer. Cross urgently chases after Alicia, who seems unmindful of his feelings, wanting to fix the misunderstanding. Alicia enjoys her food, recognizing that it's been a while since she had such delicious food. Cross spots Alicia seems to be doing well, yet wonders if another misunderstanding is happening. Cross requests Alicia about the opening ceremony, concerned about her distant behavior during it. Alicia describes the speech she gave at the ceremony was something she was told to say. Alicia shares her annoyance about being a descendant of the champion, lacking freedom and choice. Cross listens attentively as Alicia confesses her difficult life, feeling suffocated by her family's mission. Alicia confesses she's been venting frustrations lately, appreciating Cross for being such a good listener. Cross feels he may be being meddlesome, yet Alicia assures him it's just her circumstances. Cross wonders aloud if Alicia could live more freely if someone other than the hero's bloodline. Alicia pauses, uncertain, yet Cross pushes on, difficult if she could live freely without the bloodline's burden. Alicia pauses before responding, her thoughts lingering as she considers Cross's question about the demon lords. Cross apologizes, feeling flustered by his misunderstanding, while Alicia cheerfully chuckles, finding the circumstances amusing. Alicia continues to smile, yet Cross seems anxious, uncertain about how to manage the circumstances. They walk down the street, Team remarks on Cross standing out due to his late arrival. They spot Cross in front of a building with someone, creating a scene of pressure. Cross stands shocked as Alicia disintegrates into pixels, a mysterious event leaving him shocked. Alicia's quick disintegration causes concern for the team, leaving them puzzled in the city. Cross apologizes to Alicia for his childish remark, making her blush as she forgives him. Team responds with exaggerated expressions, recognizing Cross's awkwardness and their own quick at the circumstances. Alicia assures Cross with a warm smile, easing his embarrassment as he tries to apologize. Alicia cheerfully cautions Cross not to say embarrassing things casually, catching him off guard. Alicia expresses concern, fearing Cross's words could lead to misconceptions, while blushing slightly. Cross, shocked, becomes anxious after Alicia's words, uncertain if he said something wrong. Cross responds with bewilderment and alarm, hearing strange noises beyond the window. Alicia scolds the group's overreaction as they consider Cross' rising fame, with a surprising turn. Alicia rejects any chance of someone with a jobless background and champion bloodline ending up together, while others anxiously listen. Alicia's troubled expression shows inner turmoil, and she becomes cautious, sensing a becoming pressure around her. Alicia abruptly responds with urgency, creating Cross to concern about what triggered her strange behavior. Now tense and attentive, alerts everyone to the alarming danger she just sensed, leaving Cross puzzled. Cross is shocked by Alicia's warning about a threat worse than a hydra, uncertain if it's real. Cross realizes it's time to leave, yet Alicia assures him they'll finish their conversation later, grinning. Cross witnesses an unforeseen event where two figures are affected by strange abilities, leaving him puzzled, including a jealous elf, start arguing, yet one of them dreads about their reputation. Scene, the trio realizes their competition might push Cross toward another, unforeseen romantic interest. Resolved, they decide to act without hindering Cross's development, yet their moves become more secretive. Cross wakes up and heads to school, preparing himself for the dares forward, concerned. Cross thinks on the legend about a hero's capacity to defeat a demon lord. Resolved, Cross confronts the reality of his targets, contemplating the obstacles while observing the bustling city. He is attentive on his mission, yet something feels off as an aura lingers nearby. A strong figure's hit breaks his thoughts, leaving Cross in awe and uncertainty about his prospects. Cross's eyes widen in quick, noticing something is off as he senses imminent danger. A battle bursts as an unknown swordsman ambushes Cross, forcing him to defend fiercely. Cross is pushed back after a brutal clash, struggling to maintain his footing against the foe. The mysterious swordsman smirks, astonished by Cross's protection, hinting at his abilities not being a fluke. Cross, now surrounded by a team of hostile figures, demands answers, feeling lost and puzzled. Cross is shocked by the circumstances, unmindful of the ferocious combat he's about to face. The battle heats up as Cross confronts a strong swordsman, blocking his ferocious hit. Cross is sent soaring, overcome by the might and recognizing the attackers are outmatching him. Despite being outnumbered, Cross finds a way to use his speed, evading his opponent's hits. Cross continues to battle back against unceasing foes, yet the circumstances is becoming more wild. The enemies lose monitor of Cross, who slips away to avoid being cornered in a messy alley. Cross contemplates how to shake off his pursuers while avoiding getting caught in a trap. As Cross tries to hide, he's abruptly discovered, and a ferocious confrontation starts. The battle intensifies as Cross confronts several enemies. Seeing the sincere danger he's in, Cross pushes his boundaries, countering the enemy's overwhelming might, yet realizes they are much harder. Cross responds and hit with accuracy, unleashing a strong hit that overwhelms his opponent's hit. The higher-level knight labors with the agony, acknowledging that Cross's skill is more formidable than expected. Cross is knocked back by a strong shield bash, his momentum disrupted as he falls. Two enemies launch a lethal fire spell at Cross, who barely escapes the imminent blast. Final turn, a rogue uses robbery magic, disorienting the foe before vanishing into the smoke. Cross is confronted by a strong foe, his threat leaving Cross momentarily surprised and puzzled. His foe releases a destructive 1,100 strikes, a whirlwind of hits. The overwhelming strength of the hit causes huge harm, leaving the foe screaming in fury. A brief scene of relief obeys, as two allies check on Cross, securing his safety. Cross becomes aware of the danger to his friends, Giselle and Gimlet, creating him to alarm. Cross is warned by Giselle about his safety due to rumors surrounding him being targeted. The team discusses rumors of a large reward for those who test Cross, raising suspicions. Giselle cautions Cross that those who test him face disgrace, while hidden assassins may target him. Giselle furiously vents about the noble factions conspiring against Cross, creating Cross's awkward reaction. Giselle passionately announces his loyalty to Cross, stressing healthy courtesy while Cross stays puzzled behavior. Cross is approached by Giselle, who pledges loyalty, offering to serve him in any way. The team discusses the danger targeting Cross, with Giselle concerned about possible ambushes. Giselle offers to escort Cross, despite her annoyance, vowing to defend him with her life. Giselle and another character debate over their roles, each stating responsibility for Cross's protection. Cross breaks, annoyed by Giselle and the others' relentless combat, reminding them of their duties. Cross discusses the vulnerability of their current protection, recognizing that the bodyguard plan is temporary. Cross confesses relying too much on Giselle and Gimlet, concerned about facing more dangerous threats. Giselle announces a brief-term combat training camp to prepare for harder opponents, focusing on development. Cross is astonished by the notion of the camp, while Giselle stresses the value of real combat. Giselle describes the value of enhancing base abilities for erratic prospects encounters and advancing overall strength. Cross is tasked with meeting Giselle and others on requests, while also working on new abilities. Cross pauses, wondering if handling requests from S-rank adventurers is too much for him. Cross feels astonished by his master's smooth handling of the circumstances and their foresight. Everyone readies to leave, eager to take on the dares forward, heading out for the mission. Cross, shocked, discovers they're heading into the dangerous abyssal forest to meet their client. Cross and his companions arrive at a strange location, shocked by the unknown scenery forward. They realize they've reached the ocean, and their journey seems to have taken an unforeseen turn. Cross is astonished by the beach's proximity to the forest, uncertain of the plan forward. Giselle reminds the team to respect their temporary truce and avoid interfering with each other. Cross quips about the salty sea, while his companions laugh, knowing well what he's referring to. Cross is astonished by the ocean's beauty yet is puzzled by his master's quick disappearance. Cross is called over by his companions who eagerly invite him to explore while waiting. As they chat, Cross is reminded that the expedition also includes some relaxation, not just training. Cross gets anxious upon seeing what appears to be underwear, thinking it's for aquatic beast training. Cross awkwardly wears the attire, feeling uneasy being shirtless in the open, with the abyssal forest nearby. Cross gets astonished when Rayon arrives, apologizing for keeping him waiting while he stands on beach. Rayon hits a assured pose in her bold outfit, uncertain if she looks weird to Cross. Cross stumbles over his words, apologizing for staring at Rayon, who is taken aback. Ryan blushes. She thought she was the one making the maneuver, yet instead Cross responds. Cross uneasily wonders if he said something wrong, while Ryan blushes, puzzled about what happened. Cross, shocked and blushing, is met by Telemea in a showing swimsuit, adding to his embarrassment. Telemea uneasily requests Cross for his opinion on her swimsuit, feeling self-conscious about her aura. Cross and Ryan respond in surprise, recognizing they are both staring at Telemea's showing swimsuit. Telemea, feeling flustered, chastises Cross and Ryan for their staring, showing her own discomfort. Lyudmila furiously scolds everyone for their absence of modesty, while Cross and Telemea try to explain. Cross is surprised by Telemea and Ryan as they prepared for beach fun, creating pressure. Telemea requests Cross to rub lotion on her back, embarrassing him further with her smile. Cross is bewildered, and Telemea encourages him to apply enough lotion, explaining its underwater use. A sea serpent appears as a quick threat, prompting a quick response from the team. Cross shouts out for his master in alarm, as Telemea rushes forward to confront the beast. A monstrous sea serpent emerges from the depths, frightening Rayon and her friend as they struggle. Rayon commands Telemea to act as the serpent lunges at them, a lethal confrontation unfolding. Telemea's hit takes the serpent off guard, making it recoil in agony, creating chaos in the waters. Rayon fires into battle with her own hit, her war god's crushing fist targeting the serpent. With a huge hit, Rayon defeats the serpent, sending it crashing into the distant horizon. The sea serpent roars in agony as Rayon's strong hit severely injures it, creating a wild scene. Astonished onlookers consider the ease with which Rayon beaten the beast, difficult its previous difficulty. In a quick turn, the protagonist is unexpectedly tossed across the sand, losing order momentarily. After the skirmish, a quiet scene ensues as Lyudmila awkwardly tries to hide away, blushing. The protagonist is surprised as Lyudmila, in a light-hearted gesture, pulls at his shirt unexpectedly. Lyudmila uneasily requests for feedback as she tries on a swimsuit, her face flushed with embarrassment. The protagonist's surprise intensifies as he realizes Lyudmila's nerve, creating an exaggerated reaction of quick. The protagonist tries to process the awkward circumstances, stumbling over his words as he tries to explain. Lyudmila, flustered, requests for his opinion while blushing deeply, yet he feels too ashamed to look. Overcome by the circumstances, Lyudmila thinks on her emotions, difficult why she feels so flustered. Lyudmila, feeling overcome by the scene, is about to give in, struggling to order her emotions. Both gaze at each other, pressure building as the distance between them narrows dramatically. She's shocked as he's abruptly stopped, with Lyudmila now facing an unforeseen circumstances. Intensifies as the confrontation intensifies, with a furious character demanding to know their moves. The threat is delivered, as the angry character demands silence, warning of dire consequences if anyone speaks. Lyudmila's anxiety increases as she shows her swimsuit, unable to order the circumstances any longer. The protagonist responds in alarm, overcome by the scene, unable to face her directly. The awkwardness continues as they're stopped by the aura of others, creating even more pressure. The circumstances intensifies when a furious voice demands an explanation, amplifying the already uncomfortable scene. The truth comes out as the scene shows the biggest reason for the gathering: the protagonist's involvement. Cross is astonished to learn that he is required for a special demand over an S-rank adventurer. As they rush to the site, Cross is left wondering what the details of the job are. Lyudmila, showing off her speed and strength, leaps forward, calling Cross to follow her. Cross is shocked as he observes the tremendous skill of his companions in action. Lyudmila casts an immensely strong ice spell, freezing everything around them with her absolute zero magic. Cross and his companions approach a mysterious dungeon, uncertain of what waits for inside. As they approach, the dungeon shows its intimidating entrance, drawing their attention to its dark depths. The team steps into the dungeon, recognizing that it's no ordinary place, yet a special condition one. The team is met with a strong barrier that even an S-rank adventurer like Solti can't go by. Ludmila describes that the dungeon's entrance requires certain conditions to be met before they can proceed. Cross and his companions are shocked by the dungeon's test, requiring them to be under level 10. Ludmila describes that monsters inside the dungeon are on par with higher-level classes, adding danger. The goal is to retrieve a specific item beyond the dungeon boss, adding complexity to their mission. They discover that the dungeon's treasure is not just any mineral, yet the demon god's legacy. Cross is astonished by Ludmila's desire to collect the demon lord's treasures, despite her calm aura. Ludmila shows that she had given up on retrieving the demon king's treasures yet changed her spirit after seeing Cross's abilities. Cross wonders about the safety of retrieving the treasure, yet Ludmila assures him with a generous offer. Cross is still doubtful about the dungeon's difficulty, considering even Salty, a demon king, gave up. Ludmila hands Cross a top-tier item box, explaining its capacity to store items in a separate space. Ludmila provides Cross with emergency dungeon break-free tools, including a crystal to monitor his condition. Cross is overcome by the treasures, yet Salty assures him it's all part of the plan. Ludmila takes rush of tactic, preparing Cross for the dangerous dungeon forward with assurance. They arrive at the dungeon entrance, a treacherous place requiring exceptional strength and tactic to conquer. Cross decides with Ludmila's plan, seeing it as a way to improve his vital abilities. Resolved, Cross steps forward, declaring he'll give it a try, prepared to face the dungeon. Cross joins the glowing undersea dungeon, prepared to face a trial unlike any before. Closing his eyes, Cross triggers level 3 aura detection to review for hidden enemies nearby. Evading detection, he slips past guards quietly, navigating the narrow coral walls with nimble accuracy. His teacher assigns a new tactic, avoid all combat, employing stealth and thief-type dungeon abilities. Although hesitant, Cross discovers evasion boosts survival, suppresses magic use, and sharpens concealment under threat. Cross trains relentlessly. Detection must remain active, even in sleep, to sharpen reflexes and instincts. With becoming assurance, Cross creeps forward, persuaded he might reach the boss room unnoticed and unscathed. Silver wolves block the route. They're coordinated, lethal, and far above his current combat capability. Despite stealth, the wolves logic him. Pressure builds as growls break out and gazes lock onto him. Surrounded and panicking, Cross is attacked. His stealth failed, and the wolves rush without reluctance or mercy. Cross screams as he's overcome. The wolves hit, triggering an emergency break free from the dungeon. He's pulled beyond to safety by his teacher, disoriented, shaken, and barely avoiding defeat. The mentors explain stealth's weaknesses: smell, sight, and mana leakage all compromise aura concealment during danger. They show the wolves resting. Understanding behavior patterns may offer tactic beyond pure concealment tactics. Cross crouches, calculating. With seconds left before scent betrays him, he readies for one last dash. Cross dashes forward with accuracy. Until the hit lands, his aura stays undetectable by enemies. Employing ideal concealment, Cross surprises the wolves. They respond too late as he rushes in. Enhancing strength and swordplay mid-run, Cross overwhelms a wolf, attacking with quick speed and accuracy. He escapes deeper into the cave, pursued. The entire wolf pack chases with unceasing fury. He hides again in a split corridor. The wolves spread out, searching the maze cautiously. Cross slays the last wolves in silence. Their bodies fall, victims of perfectly timed hits. He remembers his master's tactic, employing terrain and stealth to ambush enemies from narrow choke points. Exhausted and cautious, Cross eventually reaches the ominous door labeling the dungeon boss's chamber. He steps inside, wondering what kind of boss waits for, only to face an explosive quick. Cross regains awareness beyond, dazed, staring upward as dragons soar overhead in the open sky. Cross awakens on the beach. His mentors commend his stealth and effort during the trial. He's shocked to learn he was knocked out instantly, without seeing the dungeon boss. The mentors encourage development. Facing unknown threats is part of training, and retreat is acceptable today. Day 2 starts. Fully recovered, Cross readies without limitations, prepared to face the boss properly. He finishes his pre-battle plan. This time, he'll skip concealment and face the threat directly. Cross steps into a cavern filled with sharp, towering spires, sensing a looming test forward. Abruptly, a swirling ball of energy appears before Cross, signaling an imminent threat approaching him. Recognizing the danger, Cross identifies the dungeon boss, recalling his previous attempt to reach this point. Despite the overwhelming aura surrounding him, Cross labors to locate the boss, feeling the eerie atmosphere. Cross senses something and is surprised, his attention caught by an unforeseen motion or sound. Cross barely avoids the lethal hit, swiftly evading rocks that come crashing toward him. He sees a huge, strange earthworm-like beast emerging from the shadows, its eye glaring menacingly. The beast breaks through Cross's stealth, forcing him to activate his boosted bodily abilities to break free. In a desperate attempt to break free, Cross moves yet is pursued relentlessly by the beast. With one last burst of determination, Cross lands a strong retaliation, defeating the beast. Cross labors to battle several giant earthworm-like creatures with spikes, each one closing in on him. Recognizing there are more than one, Cross realizes his stealth was broken and readies to battle back. With no time to spare, he triggers his bodily increase and tries to dodge the attacks. Just barely escaping, Cross looks shocked and realizes the magnitude of the danger he confronts. He makes his fourth attempt to clear the dungeon, knowing any mistake could cost him his life. Cross detects a hidden aura, recognizing that the tentacles around him are not the dungeon boss. Cross, resolved, releases his triple wind lance, releasing an hit at the target's position. The whirlwind from his hit rips through the dungeon, creating harm and chaos in its route. Cross eventually uncovers the true dungeon boss, as the giant entity bursts out from the rubble. A huge underground beast bursts fiercely from the earth, smashing rocks and thrashing its thick tentacles. Cross gazes in surprise as the tentacled beast corners him deeper inside the cavern's lair. Faced with Lampadine, a high-level plant beast, Cross readies his sword inside the grotesque nest. Recognizing the central eye as its frail spot, Cross readies to battle against its protection swarm. Cross triggers emergency abilities Presence Detection and Evasion, bracing for a swift counterstrike from all sides. Cross releases speed-boosted clones, distracting the tentacles as they break through the monster's defensive ring. Despite his speed, Cross labors to dodge the unceasing attacks and can't approach the main body. Choosing desperation over protection, Cross rushes forward, risking injury just to reach the creature's vulnerable eye. Tentacles multiply and accelerate, battering Cross mid-air as he inches closer to the core's lethal gaze. Cross readies his ultimate skill, trying to blind the tentacles and break through the creature's protection. Cross performs triple intermediate cross counter, cleaving through incoming tentacles with accurate synchronized blade hits. He fires triple wind lance upward, channeling magic into a spiraling blast aimed at the beast. The wind assault hits the main body, shattering defenses and ripping through the upper tentacle swarm. Cross rejoices the successful collision, assured the hit has turned the tide of the brutal battle. Although the eye remained intact, many tentacles were destroyed. Cross readies to repeat the hit tactic. Cut-off tentacles abruptly reattach and regenerate, fusing with grotesque fluid to rebuild their entire structure. Cross freaks as Lampadine regrows everything, showing an unknown capacity extremely rapid super regeneration. He observes the monster's recovery and realizes it's absorbing dungeon magic directly to repair harm. Cross is overcome by endless regeneration. Tentacles multiply and restrain him before he can retreat. He identifies the monster's level was underestimated. This dungeon holds a forbidden legacy beyond his capacity. Lampadine's main eye narrows, responding sharply to the quick rush in Cross's aggressive arcane strain. Cross uses Speed Outburst, an intermediate dark magic skill, blasting forward while screaming his intent. He targets the tentacles directly, arranging to weaken the whole body by severing arcane connections. Dark magic intensifies around him. Cross readies another hit, surrounded by converging tentacles from every direction. To his surprise, Lampadine blocks the magic's transmission route, preventing harm to the core structure. Cross triggers physical hardening, yet is overcome mid-air, slammed back by the tentacle's crushing hit. Severely hurt and out of strength, Cross contemplates employing an break-free item to restart the test. Recollections of his mentors resurface, reminding him of his adaptability, stealth abilities, and erratic combat style. Inspired, Cross reactivates physical ability Enhance, recognizing there are still tactics the enemy has encountered. He fires another triple wind lance, channeling atmosphere and magic with sharper order and targeting accuracy. Cross ascends with arcane aura flaring, invoking the Tyrant Dragon Spear for his strongest finishing hit. He breaks the seal on his magic stockpile, releasing stored energy with a defiant roar. Triple wind lance, boosted by double strain, explodes outward, creating a huge wind vortex around him. The spiraling hit eventually penetrates defenses, landing a direct hit on Lampadine's central eye with might. Tentacles convulse fiercely as the core recoils, its eye damaged and body spiraling into collapse. Cross rushes with a roar, trying directly at Lampadine's core as it shrieks in agony. The beast writhes fiercely, unleashing a shockwave that shreds its surroundings in a final burst. Despite harm, Lampadine loops itself in enchanted tentacles, forming an impenetrable arcane cocoon against further hits. Cross performs elegant leap, channeling wind magic to vault past its defenses toward the exposed eye. He spirals through the air, surrounded by wind tunnels, locking his trajectory toward the monster's center. Cross evades swirling tentacles mid-air. Lampadine's eye locks on, sensing his swift erratic motion. The beast reactivates its limbs in alarm, releasing wild hits and defensive pulses in desperation. Cross hides behind stone, employing presence concealment and detection to navigate quietly through the monster's blind spots. Lampadine's eye becomes fully exposed as it tightens its limbs inward, unmindful of Cross approaching. Cross improves swordplay and strength, diving in with a final hit that pierces the monster's core. As the tentacles fall limp, Cross lands atop the monster's huge, unmoving core body. Exhausted yet triumphant, Cross observes the beaten Lampadine dissolve, signaling the end of the battle. With the route forward now open, Cross turns toward the next chamber of the dungeon. Cross comes back from his journey, feeling triumphant as he walks back through the cave entrance. Cross demonstrates his newfound abilities, impressing everyone as he properly transfers vitality and mana. The team rejoices Cross's success, acknowledging his development and the development of his skill set. In a small room, the team finds a hidden treasure chest, showing a surprisingly small stash. Cross and the team uncover a huge treasure trove, showing relics and weapons from the demon god. Cross receives commend for his success, yet he pauses about taking more strong treasure. The team encourages Cross to take the best gear, knowing his capabilities will grow. Cross tests his new gear, summoning ferocious magic and a huge tornado of strength. Cross thinks on the unforeseen strength of the new gear, recognizing it's beyond his order. Cross decides to keep his current weapon, feeling a link to it and Giselle's choice. Cross finds an old tattered sword among the treasures, feeling no magic strength emanating. Cross accidentally triggers the sword, creating a quick rush of ferocious, uncontrollable strength. Struggling with the strong weapon, Cross can't order it, and his friends document the chaos. The sword is revealed as the worthless sacred sword, a cursed weapon with mysterious properties. The team questions its purpose, and one proposes experimenting with the sword to see its strength. The sword transforms into a gauntlet, confusing the wielder as it radiates strong energy. The gauntlet transforms further, creating an overwhelming rush of magic, leaving everyone in awe. A strong skill is unleashed, Absolute Zero, freezing everything in its route, as a display of strength. Cross and his companions activate their respective abilities, enhancing their combat strength and recovery magic. The sword's magic is explained, showing how it adjusts and repairs itself based on abilities used. The sacred sword is asked for being labeled worthless, despite its extraordinary abilities and magic. The sword's transformation proves difficult to manage, as it changes forms unexpectedly, leaving Cross puzzled. Cross starts to grasp the sword's deeper link to him, seeing similarities in its past. With promise to adapt and grow, the sword is ideal for Cross, as he has unique abilities. Cross receives the sword, recognizing its unique strength and his newfound responsibility, feeling thankful for the gift. Cross, with a new weapon, talks to Giselle, who spots the changed hilt design. Giselle offers to train with Cross, hinting at a new combat style she's mastered recently. Cross announces a weekend training camp with his master, to Giselle's quick, attentive on self-development. Giselle is annoyed, as Cross is prioritizing training over spending time with her. Her feelings hurt. Intensifies with a heated dispute between Giselle and a noble, leaving Cross caught in the middle. Cross and his companions rush to fulfill a demand involving material gathering, prepared for action. The team discusses the mission, explaining that the special materials are a local specialty. They plan to purchase the required item in the Kingdom of Almeria, journeying through major landscapes. Despite having higher-level wind magic, they face dares in purchasing the requested boundary crystal. Cross observes the town's lifeless atmosphere, noticing the eerie absence of energy among its others. Cross and his companions search for boundary crystals, only to learn they're stolen by bandits. The town is struggling with no shipments, and thieves are increasingly targeting the area. A beast stampede causes widespread chaos, affecting the kingdom's border army and severely impacting the town. Army's attempts to restore order are ongoing, yet the town's economy is in a dire state. Amid rising tensions, a robbery occurs in the central district, adding to the already fragile circumstances. Cross yells a warning as his team rushes through the streets, barely avoiding a dangerous circumstances. A thief gang member is charging at a frightened girl, yet Cross is too far to assist. The bucket the girl was gripping is knocked over, spilling its contents everywhere as she stares. Cross looks behind, astonished to see a strong figure towering over the thieves, defeating them effortlessly. Mysterious woman steps forward, casually confronting the thieves, stating to have a few questions for them. Cross urgently cautions of danger as a team of thieves run toward him and a girl. After a quick confrontation, the thieves are subdued, and the girl seems to be in trouble. With the thieves out of the way, the girl, now in distress, starts showing secrets. Cross, uncomfortable, questions what exactly happened, while the girl smiles, seemingly satisfied with her methods. The team readies to retrieve the stolen goods and confront the thieves responsible for the chaos.